time it's saying that it's getting everything set up, but regardless of which, I will try and get everything open and then send out some links. Just do the normal start, and then we can talk about what's going on this week. It's a little bit of a rough time because we got to wait a little bit extra longer for all the manga from Shonen Jump, and it's a little bit hard right now because we're trying. Oh, getting okay. There we go. And I always gotta mute it whenever I try and open it on another page, just to make it easier to see the comments. But at the same time, I think it's still playing sounds that go through my desktop, so I'm trying to avoid that horrible double audio. But regardless of which, let me see if I can send out some links, see who's here, and get this up. Let me read some of the comments that are already set, because when I open the page, it doesn't show the ones that it shows like in my live streaming specific tab. We had a good holiday break. Yeah, I was trying to figure out when exactly to start streaming again, because now I got to pick a different day, because with all the fan scans, kind of pulling away from Shonen Jump, I want to support the official releases, because as I've talked about before, I fully support official releases, but at the same time there are scenarios where I like fan scans as well, because the difference between the two is series can nobody's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna drop unless you just have a lot of money to throw around, or if you have want to drop $10+ just to try a series. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you don't, and then it's like, if you don't, what are you gonna do with the volume? Gonna trade it back, or are you gonna give it to somebody else? How exactly are you gonna go about that? But whereas you get a lot of fan sites, you can try something out, see if you like it, and I know it's pirated, and then it's kind of one of the iffy part of it, and I want to support official creators, but there's that whole aspect of being able to try stuff out in a lot more not money clutching environment. That's why I really like what Shonen Jump's done with the subscription service, because you're paying only $2 a month, and you can check out all of their stuff, and then it's like, well, I really like this. So you can or you cannot purchase physical volumes or digital, regardless, whichever one you want, or you can just keep the subscription service, because you're still supporting it, the magazine and whatnot through that, or you can support a set one. But when there's a lot of series out there that don't have official volumes in English at all, so it's like, well, I can either Mushi Bugyo, if you've never seen that series, has an anime, and it only covers, I think, the first 5 or 6 volumes, and it's like 32 volumes of a series. So it's like, I can either read a fan translation wherever they come out, or I can just pretend the series doesn't exist. Or I guess I could learn Japanese, and I imagine how long that would take, and how much effort that would get put in just, to read some comics. But as it is, with Shonen Jump, I know a lot of other reviewers we're trying to do more. We're trying to wait for the official scans, especially because some of the fan ones now are kind of chunky. But until then, I gotta figure out a new day for streaming, because they usually come out on Sunday, and I gotta do multiple reviews on that day. I gotta do Black Clover, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Chainsaw Man, Zipman, Black Clover. I mean, that's 5 series right there, which even if I do 10 minutes out of each of them, not including the time to read, not including the time to set up, not including uploading and whatnot, is, almost an hour. So, trying to figure out when the best day would be to otherwise stream. I think maybe Saturday. Maybe early in the afternoon. Probably same time on Saturday, just right after lunch for me, that I can, do the stream, and then that could also be like, sweet stuff tomorrow. We can find out what exactly there is. So let me read some of these other ones really quick, and then I'll send out some links, post it in a couple Discord tabs, post it on Twitter, see who wants to come by, and we can get into any questions you guys have you want to ask me. I haven't streamed in a couple weeks, so I know there's probably a good amount of things that people want to to put forth, see what my opinions are that maybe I didn't address in a video you want to get to. Anyway, what is Shiki combined Jin's wind gravity similar to Lucy, or similar to Natsu? I don't know how I got Lucy out of that. Natsu's lightning flame dragon mode would look cool. I don't know, it'd be with ether gears. We don't know if ether gears can be transferred. We know magic can be transferred. We knew that Dragon Slayer Lacrima specifically could be transferred. so it's kind of hard to formulate that because again we don't know a whole lot about ether gears. I would actually really like it if instead we get because if you've looked at Hiromishima's original plan for ether gear, he was going to have it literally be physical gear that you put on. It'd be really cool if he had like, oh, here's old style ether gear, and then like, you know, use that idea for like equipment and maybe some other style, and then combine them. So you still have the base ether gear, but you know you have tools to advance them. One of the series I have an idea for, I've talked about a couple times in the streams. I have a couple ideas, and I want each of their kind of like fighting styles and the way their powers work be different. And one of the ones I have, it's gonna be where all the characters have a really simplistic power. The ones that have like an actual power, and then there are like tools and weapons that have powers put into them. And it would be like you get a guy, it's like, oh, you could explain this dude's power in like 5 seconds. But then it's what gear you could combine with it to make it different. Like the main guy, he would just kind of have like this ability to make his skin and body harder. Kind of like, you can literally think of any character who pretty much can just become tougher. Literally a metapod. But then you can combine other stuff like into it to make it different. Like, oh, well, maybe this one doesn't just make it heavier, it makes them, or denser and like harder, it also makes them heavier, like with additional thing or something along those lines. Just in a way that it kind of like branches out with combos essentially. But let me look more at some of these. So yeah, so it's kind of hard with Ether right now because we don't know. There's still a lot of stuff we don't know how it works. Like the only like idea we know, the base idea, how it kind of it's not like, oh well, Fairy Tail, you're using raw magic into a certain style in order to use this power. Ether Gear is more of, because we see the lines and how they formulate, it's rerouting ether in your body in a way to do a specific thing. It's more of manipulation than Fairy Tail. It's like you're using magic as a fuel. You've got this specific way that it goes into, that it turns into this, versus this again, like manipulation style of power. When how strong the other star shines are. I mean, they're. So I'm wondering if their battle suits only I imagine Valkyrie's would work anywhere because hers is specifically like combat. But Witch, I like the idea of Witch's is only usable on the ship, because it'd be really cool because her whole thing, when you look at like all of the the four shining stars, you have Valkyrie. She was the combat one. She was specifically about like weapons and armament. You have Sister, who's a healer. You have Hermit, who's more of a tech person, and you have Witch, she's essentially the housekeeper. She's in charge of the ship itself. Holy shit, Kimano, you just gave me $100? Are you fucking serious? Thanks. Holy goddamn, man. I know it's late. Happy holidays. Thanks, man. I did absolutely not expect that. I mean, I imagine as that huge pause that you understand how absurdly surprised I am at this. I extremely appreciate it.
Shit, you just busted a nut.
I'm hoping that went off in the stream. There we go. Oh, it did. Sweet. God, I would have been really sad if that didn't show up. Yeah, man. God damn, I really appreciate it. I didn't think I would ever see a super chat that big. God damn, I gotta. As you can tell, I'm extremely surprised. The only thing I can think of is, well, Kimano's a long-running follower, and God, you can tell I'm extremely just stumped by this. Like, I was like, oh, maybe I'll get like $1 or $2, but $100, god damn, dude, Jesus. Anyway, where was I? I completely lost my spot out of appreciation. Like, I don't remember what I was talking about at all. God damn, man. I have to screenshot it. Like, I'm trying to figure out like how I can even possibly like be as appreciative enough other than just saying it. Like, I gotta take a screenshot because that's by far the largest super chat I've ever gotten. But it was so out of left field that I figured like maybe if I ever got like a big super chat, it'd be like on some special like some big day stream, like, oh, 100 Years Quest anime got announced, time to party stream. But this was just like a last minute, like, I feel like streaming today. I feel like talking to you guys. God damn, man. Anyway, thanks, Manny. I appreciate it. But, Yeah, I'll have to figure out some plans to, do some more fun streams. I have been talking with some other YouTubers where I got a group where we're discussing getting a Chainsaw Man kind of group set up. I already have the Black Clover group, with our Magic Parliament. We talk about Black Clover stuff. I'm trying to get a Fairy Tale group set up as well, and maybe the Eden Zero crew. I feel bad, especially because I know Kinmano wanted me to do one with Underrated Mage, but I don't know if in good conscience I could do a stream with that guy. Tell me what other YouTubers like I can hopefully talk to. I've been trying to convert more people to Fairy Tail, so hopefully maybe that will make up for some of it. But anyway, goddamn Kimano, appreciate it, very much appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out where I was and talking. I was talking about Witch. Fuck. Anyway, so Witch as this housekeeper. All right, she's this housekeeper of the crew. Oh God, I'm just so drawn to this now. Thank you, Kamano. I don't know if I deserve it, but I'm not gonna deny gifts. So I appreciate what you've done for me, and I appreciate, I mean, I already appreciate a lot of what people do, as following my channel. Gifts, and donations are always appreciated. I mean, they're not required, they're appreciated. I'm already pretty happy that people watch my videos and give me feedback, because at the end of the day, I just like talking about these series. I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun, and I think you guys can tell in like some of the videos where they go off on like tangents of like 30 minutes almost, because I there's so much to unpack. Like the last Fairy Tale video I did, the last chapter review, there was so much dropped on us that I think when I get four or five speculation videos all thought up over over the course of that just one chapter, because there was so much. I think you can tell that I get really passionate about some of this stuff. So I definitely have fun talking about it. Being able to make a little money on it is cool, but obviously having a community that enjoys responding to me and conversing with me over it is always fun. I can't get to everybody's comments, but I do like hearing what people have to say. That's why I really like live streaming more over like I check the comments in the videos, but I can't reply to all of them, because obviously I gotta read each one and then type them all out, get to the next one, maybe they replied as well, go back. It's not as fluid as talking to people like in the stream in order to get everything across. But yeah, so Witch, the fact that she's she as the housekeeper, she's gonna be in charge of the structure of the ship, but also this idea where she in combat outside the ship isn't very strong, but it's like inside the ship she's like a boss. She's like a home set raid boss that no matter what will always be present. I think that's just a really cool idea. It'd be like, if you can just imagine, what's that game, EVE Online? Is that the one where it's that giant huge space game, and it's massive, and you have all these guys with like starships and bases and whatnot? It's just the idea that, like, if you can imagine, like, playing this game, it's like, oh, you come across this legendary ship, and it's got all this gear and loot on there that you really want. You get in, but there's always going to be that one thing you got to look out for, that being Witch. And I just think that's really neat. I really like that idea. And even if we only saw a bit of it, but as I've talked about a lot of my videos, I really like a concept of something, even if we only get a bit of it, just the way that it's presented. So hold on, I'm gonna before I get distracted again, let me post the stream and talk about the I'm sorry, I'm flabbergasted still. I'm a little bit just surprised by Kimono's generosity. But let me get to posting the stream on Twitter and other Discords really quick to see who else we can bring in, see who else we can talk to about series. It's not just restricted to Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, Black Clover. Those I'm very passionate about, but also I do ones other on this channel. I've been really enjoying Zipman for one, brand new series. Having been really enjoying that one. I really like the structure of that series a lot as well. But any series that people could suggest, there's some that I read that aren't like battle shonens. There's one that I picked up recently that I've been having a lot of fun with. I'll talk about at some point if anybody's interested. It's about like a group of live streamers, which is sounds a little bit weird, but it gets in good-natured fun. But anyway, one second. Let me type this out and get everything started. Let me move my mic so real quick so you guys don't have to hear my. Actually, I'll just move my keyboard over, and hopefully I can talk at least fluid and loud enough that it doesn't just you guys can hear keyboard matching and whatnot. But yeah, so let me get this out, and then I will get everything going pretty well. But other than that, like I've been having a pretty good week. Go back to work tomorrow, and honestly, it's not a big deal. I make money, so it's cool. I enjoy my job enough, and I enjoy talking to people, so I can balance both pretty well. God, I keep getting distracted. I'm just trying to post out this stream so you could come online. 1 second. Let me type this out and see what it is. Back to streaming. Gotta find a new schedule. But appreciating everyone who comes to chat, and also surprised by wildly generous super chat from do I say fan? I don't know if that would be anyway not nice. I'll say from long time fan Kinmano. Wait, no, that's not. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember what your name is on Twitter, because I know it's not Kimano. Is it? Hang on, I gotta check. I remember I had that you in that. Here it is. Oh yeah, it is Kinmano. Why isn't it coming up? Yeah, Kinmano. There we go. That's weird. But anyway. Let me see. Fairy Tale, Black Clover. Let me just get this all out of the way. And then we can get to further chatting. So here's Black Clover, Chainsaw Man, Eden Zero, and Jujutsu Kaisen. I think those are my 5 most prominent ones for my channel. Fairy Tail, Black Clover, Chainsaw Man, Eden Zero, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, that's pretty much my main. I can't think. I don't think there's any others that I really that I read I'm as passionate at. I really love all 5 of those. Those are all like super goated for me. Anyway, I forgot to. God, I'm dumb. I forgot to put the link. I actually forgot to put the link to the stream. Oh god, it's too big. There we go. That works. But yeah, I gotta put Kamano's nice donation in there. Can I put a video? Or actually no, it's a link, so it should be. There we go. Yeah, so let me just post up the link in Discord now. You guys keep asking away. I'm gonna get to everybody's comments. Unfortunately, though, this does sound like it might be one of those days that I thought I got away from it, where I get like absurdly behind on the comments. I think any of the regulars know. What was that day that I was like, I'm gonna do like an hour and a half long stream or something, and then it turned into like 4 hours because I couldn't catch up with the damn comments because everyone was so active. God, it was fun, yet it was fun while at the same time I'm like, God damn it, what am I doing? But anyway, let me get back on the comments, and then we can get back to keeping up with the stream. So yeah, good day, holiday, yeah, Happy New Year. Oh wait, no, where was I? I feel like Leaper is more connected to time than speed. I'm wondering how, if it's like time travel, or if it's not just, if it's like speed and then also like clairvoyance, because of that part where she thought she died. Is it like, oh, you saw that happen? Or is it, time reversal? I think time reversal would be fine, as long as there's limitations, because logically, she would only be able to do it if her ether gear's on. She wouldn't be able to just like, oh yeah, she's shot in the middle of her, while she's sleeping, undoes it. But also, there are ways to restrict ether gear from working, seemingly just restrict whatever part of the body that it stems out of. So, it should have some form of tie-up to it. And then I doubt Hiramashima would just like let it be free time travel. I mean, that would pretty much just make her super OP. Lightning Flame Dragon mode versus Laxus Red Lightning mode. Well, if it's restricted to how they are now, I'd give it to Laxus Red Lightning because Natsu has, Lightning Flame Dragon mode is badass, but the level like that, both of them kind of are at with it. Like we know that Fire Dragon King mode is like, some of the bigger Spriggan. So should be at the same time with Laxus because we know Laxus took out Wall with his, when he used the Mercury Fulminate Red Lightning for the first time. But now he's got a mode specifically, so it should be more powerful. But Lightning Flame Dragon mode was never really Spriggan territory because we know we never really saw it. Personally, I really wish that Lightning Flame Dragon mode was used against, kind of like Bakal, or Aqua, name's hard to pronounce. Do you remember? Agil's, one of his two guys, him and Kareem. And that should have been like where he's at. Fodder is base Natsu. Lightning Flame Dragon mode is, in these other guys. It would have made it so much cooler, because then it's like, oh, it's Lightning Flame Dragon mode is only at this area. What is he going to do when he gets to Spriggan? And then it's revealed like, oh, I've been using that against the lesser guys because I have my for real big dog one. And then we know Dragon Force is his all in or nothing because of the level of magic demand that he pretty much puts into it. But I'll give it to Laxus right now. If it's, oh, wow, I literally just realized I read that wrong. You said Fire Dragon King mode. I'm a dummy. I'm going to go, that one's a little bit harder, because I would imagine they're around each other. I'm going to go with Laxus, and the reason is, Dragon Force Natsu I would put above Red Lightning mode Laxus. The reason I would put Laxus above right now, or above Fire Dragon King mode, at least as of right now, is because of the way it works. Like, Fire Dragon King mode is just a big boost. He's in it, he's powerful, he's just going to all-around increase his different abilities. The thing that I really liked about Red Lightning Dragon mode, I didn't really like the first time it was ever shown, because when people talk about, like, what's weird is when people talk about, like, ass poles and stuff, they talk about stuff that I don't agree with. But they don't talk about, like, when Laxus got the Red Lightning against Wall, which I didn't like as a point in the story, because he ended up kind of, he dropped it out. There was no foreshadowing really to it. I like how they kind of, like, retro damage controlled it by me. Like, it was all up to chance, and it's literally, mixing blood into his lightning. So it wasn't like Laxus was just like, oh, I have this technique. It was because I was in such a beaten the hell up state. Bloody, it kind of like, it kind of just happened. At the same time, I'm like, I don't really like the time that it initially happened. I like what they've done with it. I like how they've kind of like turned it into a way that it makes more sense. And at the same time, as I talked about, I really like the effect of it, because it makes Laxus more unique in his fighting style and the way that his magic works versus the other ones. Because second generation Dragon Slang magic, I think is a little bit not used to the potential that it should be. Like, we have first generation. First generation is pretty much the prime generation, because they don't have all these like special traits. They're straight Dragon Slang magic. And unlike second gen, or rather Lacrima based Dragon Slang, second and third, their Dragon Force is, it seems easier to achieve. It's not even close to as powerful of a boost that they get from either True Dragon Force or the artificially induced Dragon Force, kind of like when, Natsu ate Ethereon, when he ate the magic around face, where it's, you're consuming a level of magic that breaks your limits and puts you in Dragon Force. Lacrima based, as we saw, and I will argue with anybody about this, Laxus and Cobra both went Dragon Force. They had dragon parts of their bodies. That's Dragon Force. That's how Dragon Force works and how Dragon Force is described. They're essentially getting a temporary boost down the line of becoming a dragon. That's why they so drastically increase. But it's definitely, when Cobra literally has dragon arms, that's Dragon Force. But with second gen, because third gen has Shadow Drive, Drives, sorry, because we have White Drive and Shadow Drive from Sting and Rogue, which gives them kind of like this like in between before you get Dragon Force, which I always really liked. I really wish that was used more, but it's not a huge deal. While fourth gen is kind of iffy, like on how fourth gen works, I still think it's more of you have an object that makes you a Dragon Slayer, not like a Lacrima where it's implanted. It's an outside source. because like the Quantum Knights, as we saw in Dragon Cry, they were dragon slayers because they're pretty much like golems with dragon slaying magic in it. I still see it as like Urza. I think Urza with her sword is a dragon slayer, but 4th gen, because drops her sword, she's not a dragon slayer. Picks it up, she's got it. And I know Wendy can buff them to be, pseudo dragon slayers temporarily, but that's more of giving them the trait versus putting it in an object. And then 5th gen, we don't really know a whole lot about. But, they have their own uniqueness. Not only are they immune to motion sickness, but now we know that their Dragon Force is going to be different. To what extent, we don't know. With 2nd gen, I really liked, for one, Cobra. Cobra learned sound magic, not just hearing, because he had that when he initially showed up, but we know that he can manipulate sound to a degree, as we saw in the Starry Sky arc. But with Laxus, has the red lightning, and the way that it is, he's putting blood in the lightning to make it more powerful, and the more he bleeds, the more powerful it becomes. So he's essentially a berserker, which I love, because not only is it give Laxus and his presence a unique trait within the series and the way that he fights, but it also fits his design, because he's a big dude. I mean, you see any of the characters, Laxus is big. I mean, he's not like a One Piece character where like they're just like, oh yeah, you got like Luffy's like what, like I think he's like 5'10", 5'9", and then you see him like fight Katakuri, who's like 12 feet tall. Fairy Tail doesn't have a lot of those characters where they're like pretty much low-key giants, but they're not giants. They're just huge. We have giants, but characters aren't generally that big. I mean, Laxus, though, he's like, what, like 6'5", and jacked. He's just a brick wall of muscle. So him being a berserker, I think just is really cool. And I really like that idea. The more he bleeds, the stronger he becomes. Because, again, he's literally a berserker. And just on a side note, just not even talking about the fact that I love the concept. Anybody who's talked to me about, like, playing fantasy games, I love berserkers. It's just such a fun idea to me. I love the guys who are just, they're all in. They're just head first into the battle, and it's not like, oh, I'm a tank. I've got my shield and my sword and my armor. I'm in there, playing offensive, but mostly defenses to open spots for my group. It's, no, you guys be support, do ranged in the back. I'm jumping in. I'm causing chaos, and the chaos is going to give you guys opportunities. I love that. I absolutely love that attack. So I'm going to go Laxus for that. Fire Dragon King mode against Red Lightning Dragon mode. I'm going Red Lightning. But if it was Dragon Force, not Samuel Dragon Force, and really anything beyond Dragon Force, Savage Dragon Fire, 7 Fire Dragons Dragon Force, Ethereus Dragon Force, I think we can easily say, yeah, Natsu would just flick at me, Laxus would be dead. But at that one, I've given how I feel. I feel like I already read that, the Leaper ability. Shiki, the Demon King versus Blue Note. Blue Note definitely for now. Shiki probably in the long run. Right now, Eden Zero doesn't have a lot of crazy power levels. But I've talked about how I like the idea of like their big stuff being more of their ships. Just because I think it's really neat, and it would give it a lot more identity to the series. It's like a lot of characters can still be powerful, but whereas like Fairy Tail, they have a lot of big magics and just characters who are like Blue Note. Blue Note was essentially like a walking miniature army. But with Eden Zero, I like the idea of it being more ships. And I don't say this out of negativity, because there are people that know I'm not a huge One Piece guy, but there are aspects of it I like. One thing that I'm not a huge fan of in this series is because it's a pirate series, pirates versus marines mostly. There aren't a lot of like naval stuff going on. Like they all have their own unique ships, but their ships are never really like crucial in battles and stuff. I want Eden Zero to do that, because I like that idea. They got these big badass spaceships, and it's not the same as it's just like, oh yeah, we got a car, we go places. It's like the Fairy Tail Guild. That's their base, but that's a building. Whereas Eden Zero, their Eden Zero ship is their base. This is their thing. And the difference between a guild is their building, it's set in a location. A spaceship, especially one that you would recognize, and then just, you would, if you saw it, especially a famous one, you would know that something's about to happen. You see it, you recognize it, you'd be like, oh shit, that's the Eden Zero crew. And just that presence, alone, I think, is really cool. I like that idea, and we already know that there are unique aspects about the ship. I'm hoping that a lot more of their big stuff is going to be, these big weapons they have, cannons and like crazy sci-fi inventions. I just think that's cooler, and it would give more identity to Eden Zero as a whole. Personally, it could do normal power levels. I don't mind. I'm just hoping all their big stuff is like that. I know Fairy Tail has stuff. They've got their own. Well, sorry, I cough real quick. Their own kind of super weapons. They got like Ethereon, Dragon Cry, Infinity Clock. They got this whole plethora of their own things, and not just out of that, they have like special spells like Abyss Break, Ars Magia, and whatnot. But it fits more into like the wizard magic style. You've got these like super high class wizards, because when you think about wizards and stuff, there's always those legendary ones. They just dudes with let's generally think about wizards. Dude with the big beard and a staff and whatnot, some super old being that knows all this wisdom. When it comes to space adventure sci-fi, you think a lot about their ships and stuff. A lot about what kind of tech they have, because obviously sci-fi very tech themed. But just giving that on that, it branched off a little bit, but I had to get my opinion. Do you think that one of the Element 4 will join Eden Zero? If I had to pick out of them, I don't really know. I don't know who of them would be beneficial. I don't think any of them will. I like the idea of them sticking with Drac and Joe, because the next person I really want to join the Eden Zero crew is Jin, and you can't it'd be weird to bring in Sylph, because she's already like a wind ship person. I don't know why I would bring in Fee. I mean, he's a sniper, which would be cool to have a sniper, but you already have a marksman with Rebecca, and I don't want her to lose kind of like one of her things. We don't know that rock dude's name, but we don't know anything about him either. Laguna, I don't think any of them would really fit. I like Jin. I think he's really cool. I think he's already got the vibe, similar to someone like Gajil or Let. So him joining in the crew, I think, one is predetermined, but also I think would fit more in the style that a lot of Hiroshima stuff goes. And you got this guy, and he's not. It's a little bit different because Let was an enemy, but he was more honorable. And then you have like Gajil, who was an antagonist. He wasn't evil, but he was kind of a bad guy, and we already know like he's got a really good story arc and character, whole like line to how he became like a member and where it got him to now. And Jin just seems to be like, he was a criminal. He was a kidnapper and a slaver, so that definitely wasn't good. But it was for a selfish cause that was very personal to him. But at the same time, he was misled, so we don't really know what he's going to be like now. It really just depends on his character, because unlike the other two, like, Let was summoned, and he was, part of this whole thing where, King, Gale, Rare Groove summoned him, and the rest of his squad to do stuff. You have Gacho, who is more part of, going with his guild and doing all these things for combat and stuff, wanting to be the strongest. Whereas with with Jin, it's all about, like, for him, seemingly about getting away to cure his sister. I feel like it would actually really make sense for him to join the crew, because, he was in there for sister, who, we found it was a fake sister because of her healing abilities. So the real sister, who could potentially heal his sister, would be, make sense to him and be like, oh yeah, of course he'd join at that point, because, we know what his goal is. Some people say Easy got darker than Fairy Tail and Rave. I mean, both Fairy Tail and Rave Master are pretty dark. At times. Hiroshima's not a dark guy. He does, he'll do some stuff where, surprise you, but he's not like, he's not like Chainsaw Man, where there's just blood and gore and, like, a lot of sad stuff. He's generally a pretty chill guy. He's got a lot of fun vibes to him. I don't know if it'll be darker. I think it'll have that kind of the same thing. Like, if you go back and, like, look at Fairy Tail, I think a lot of Fairy Tail is, like, seen not to be that dark, because a lot of people go with the anime. And Rave Master, most of the people that have gone through Rave Master mostly have read the manga, because the anime, I don't think the anime was very big. I've only seen like one episode of the anime. I remember, like, before I even really knew about it, I saw like a random episode on Sci-Fi Channel, which was really weird. I wonder why that was on the Sci-Fi Channel. It was just like an episode where they were like messing around. I remember because I saw Let, and I was like, this dude's why is he a lizard man? I didn't even know it was Hiroshima at the time. I don't remember how long ago this was. I mean, the fact that the Sci-Fi Channel had an anime episode on it, you could probably figure out how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago. But where was I? With that, there's a lot of parts in Fairy Tail that are a lot darker. Like, go back and look at the flashback when Urza was, freeing everybody from the Tower of Heaven. Like, Jalal straight murked dude. There's a part where he crushes a dude's head under his foot, and you just see the blood, like, splash. And it's not like, oh, I slashed a guy across the chest, blood slashing. No, you popped his head. You popped somebody's head like a berry, which means that there was brain matter and the dude's eye probably drifting along in a blood puddle. That's dark. Even if it doesn't show it, the fact that it happened is pretty damn dark. But I don't think it'll be darker. I think it'll have a lot more of a serious tone at times, because from the way that I've seen it, like, Haru was more of a classic hero. That's why Haru, he would fight. He didn't want to, but he knew it had to be done in order to eventually end all the, the stuff that went on from, like, Demon Card and all the bad guy groups. Natsu was more of, like, keeping his crew safe and stuff that their crew got mixed up into. And at the same time, Haru was more of a hero. Natsu is more like a good-natured scoundrel in a lot of ways, because I always consider Natsu like a soft-core anti-hero, because he's willing to do anti-hero things, and a lot of the time, like, he'll do stuff that doesn't really fit like a good guy, but it's not like he's like, oh yeah, I don't like you, kill. It's like, no, but if you get in my way, I will beat the shit out of you. And then if it's like, regardless if they're good or bad guys, if they mess with the guild, then he's, they're on his shit list. It's not, oh, you're a good guy, you're a member of the council, you guys are doing good things for everybody, yeah, but you mess with the guild, I guess I gotta beat you up anyway, and I'll beat you to near death. With Shiki, I think he'll be like a anti-villain, because with the way that he's been presented, it's like he's very nice, he's very childlike, he's very whimsical, and he's got, again, that very childish nature to him. He's very fun, he's very silly. But when it comes to, like, people messing with his crew and whatnot, unlike Haru, who gets serious, Natsu, who gets, just pissed off, Shiki, like, has a lot of villain vibes, and I've talked about before, I really like that idea that Shiki will be like you see him and he's just the happiest guy, he's just a really nice dude, but then, you mess with his crew and he becomes the villain that people, eventually will get rumors about him. I'm hoping that's, like, the case with Ziggy, because he was called the Demon King. So there had to have been something about him that made people fear him enough to call him that. I mean, I know he looks spooky as this, like, skeletal robot, but still. So anyway, I finally got to those comments. So I still gotta post. I still gotta post. Oh no, I already posted it on Discord. Okay, so yeah, I can. Let me see. Did I finish posting on Discord? I did. So I will. Wait, no, there was one I didn't do. So let me. There we go. So let me now get to some of the newer comments. Yeah, hey Jared Punch, how's it going? You had a good holiday. How was it going? Elric, how are you guys today? Yeah, I already saw this. The Kinbano stuff. Still appreciate the very, very surprising gift that you gave me, my guy. It's very much appreciated. Very astonished. Meliodas vs. Escanor was garbage. Dude, so the second half, like, even Fairy Tail 2018 as a whole, during that's an understatement. I've never seen an anime that bad. I've never, at any point, seen an anime looking that bad. Not once. I've gone back and looked at anime from decades ago. Never seen one look that terrible. And it's not even like, oh, like, still frames or kind of like wonky ways that the characters are angled, goofy art. It just looked horrible. The way that it was animated across the board, the way that it was drawn across the board. It's completely mind-boggling how that got done and somebody said, all right, let's air this. That's the part that makes me even more, like, freaked out, like, when it comes to that. Because, like, think, for example, the whole Sonic the Hedgehog movie. They had the trailer, people didn't like it, and they're like, oh, crap, people are not going to like this, let's, and to the people who made it, they probably didn't know that. They probably be like, oh, yeah, it's a live-action movie, let's make them look realistic. They probably didn't think, the fans will hate this. They should have, which always surprised me whenever they do movies like that. Like, why wouldn't you have fans on board, like, looking at what you're doing when, giving a response to, like, any Sonic guy would probably look at it and be like, no, people are going to hate that because of reasons, give them. I don't know how anybody could have looked at that episode for Seven Deadly Sins, anybody involved, and said, okay, air it. No, that is like, if I was on board with that, like, for the fairy tale anime, I could see, like, the episodes and be like, yeah, air them. Even the ones that are, the scenes, like, I wish that they were better animated, I'd be like, obviously air them. Not every episode needs to be amazing, put it out. Same thing with Black Clover. That episode of Seven Deadly Sins, I can't fathom who saw it and thought, okay, we're good. That is no. Tell the people that we outsource this to, we're not accepting this, we're not paying them, or, we're paying them like a horribly reduced fee, because that is absolutely not acceptable. It literally looked like MS Paint. Like that scene where Meliodas kicks Escanor, and it literally just looks like you had two figures. It looks like you literally had Photoshop up, right? It looks like you had the character where Meliodas is in a kicking motion, and you started recording, and all you did was take Escanor, and you scaled him down and slowly moved it back. It didn't look animated, it didn't look fluid at all. It literally looked horrible beyond belief. That scene, I think, is legitimately the worst I've ever seen for an anime. And what's funny, just before I get further in the comments, I already know I'm way behind, is the day before that, I saw somebody say, "Oh, I've been working on a fan animation of that fight scene. I'm gonna drop it soon. I don't care if people say what I did was bad. I just really want to show people what I've done." It was something like that. And then the episode came out, and I'm like, "Oh, people took this guy's fan animation seriously. They're trolling. They're goofing." And then I saw that it was the actual episode, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is sad. This is a sad time. This is like even with my mixed feelings for that whole arc for Seven Deadly Sins, there are a lot of parts I don't like. I was very vocal about parts I didn't like. I'm very vocal about how much I like what's going on right now. But I would never wish that level of animation on any series at all. Like, I don't like Odin in One Piece, for example. Again, and I don't try to pick on One Piece. It's just an easy example for me. I don't like Odin. I would never want that level of animation on their franchise, just because that's just like that's a soul-crushing thing. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, having a really cool part like Escanor versus Meliodas, and even though the fight wasn't like a lot of Seven Deadly Sins fight where you have all this giant environmental destruction and you have, like, all these, like, cool power flexes. It was all stuck inside of a perfect cube, so there's no environmental damage. But there were still a lot of really cool-looking panels. And, oh my god, I just realized we're going to get the one, Escanor. When does the next episode come out? Does anyone know when the next episode comes out? I want to know so bad now that I think about it. How are they going to do the one? This is all I can hope for. And I imagine this, and I say this with the most sincerity and honesty. Similar to how, like, in Black Clover, you know when a really good episode is coming up because you can see the animation of certain episodes dropping. Like the way that the episode where Charmy was revealed to be a dwarf, right? That episode looked, a lot of it. I mean, pretty much all of it looked not terrible, but it was like, And then the next episode was the Yoshihara episode, and every episode he's on is amazing. So, like, that episode was beautiful, and I can only imagine it's like, they have an MS Paint episode of Seven Deadly Sins, and then the next episode is like, Kimetsu no Yaiba levels of animation, or at least just like a 30-second scene of the one Escanor with, like, god-tier animation. That'd be hilarious to me. Like, just imagine, like, you buy the DVD and you have that god-awful animation episode, and then the next one is beautiful. It would be such a mindfuck. But anyway, how's my Christmas? My Christmas was good. I had fun visiting my family. I didn't get to stay very long because my family lives pretty far away, and luckily it'll be a lot easier next year. But as of like this year, I couldn't stay very long because I have two cats, and I took one of them last year, and it was pretty horrible for her. I mean, she was very stressed out by the dogs that my parents have. So I didn't want to do that to her again this year, and obviously I have a second cat, so I was a little bit hard. So it was pretty much I just had to leave, get them set up with food and water and stuff, and then I had to leave home for 2 days and was paranoid about how they were doing while I was gone. But they're good. They're happy. And they're obviously good now. But yeah, what's up, Zach God? How's it going, man? On One Feral. So do you think about the chapter explain? Of which series? I know you ask that all the time. You gotta specify which series. Stay safe, Sorcerer Weekly. So from what I know, it's really anything owned by Viz. Because, like, for me, anytime I've ever gotten in trouble on my channel for manga and anime stuff, it's always something related to Viz. Like, the first time when I lost my channel for almost a month, it was Black Clover, and I got my channel back. After that, it was... Actually, after that, I think it was just another Black Clover episode. No, I used a GIF from when when Spirit died. One of the guys I talked to about Black Clover, his channel got taken down because of I think Black Clover stuff. I think Kimetsu no Yaiba as well. I've seen people like Boruto and Dragon Ball. It's only, from what I understand, Shonen Jump and any of that property of Viz, Shonen Jump primarily. So and I've never heard of like Kondashi ever doing it. I don't think they really care as much, but from what I understand, I think that's why Jimenez Box dropped any Shonen Jump stuff, but they're doing other stuff. And I think it was Manga Dex just had to change domains because of Boruto, so they're probably not going to do that anymore. I'm just scrolling down. I already entered the Fire Giant King mode versus Red Lightning one. There's the awesome super chat by Kanmano. Again, still appreciated, still super appreciated, man. Do you think Homura will get a battle dress? I'm hoping so. I still think that would be really cool. Because one of the things I talked about in the whole reveal, when we saw the whole battle dress, is like when Valkyrie was shown and she lost, she beat all of those rocks, all those stone monsters, but she died in the process. It was cool, but it's like, oh man, this is where they must cap out at, because this is the warrior one of their crew. But we got the battle dress, so that means, like, we saw the huge boost that Witch got, so Valkyrie's was probably significantly stronger as well. So she didn't have, like, her big guns. She had her base Ether Gear sword, and then, she had her whole, like, Odin strike and stuff. But obviously she wasn't at her most powerful. So it's cool because it also was like, oh, so she's stronger than what we saw. We don't know to what degree, but it also is like, man, that means Homura's going to get this at one point, which is awesome. So I'm hoping Homura gets it. And it's something that when she gets in the future will be really cool to stack on it, because it's also, foreshadowed and established. So at some point when it's like, all right, it's time for you to don this battle dress, it'll be a really sick moment for her. Don't let the YouTube treasury rob you. YouTube, I think, takes a third, but I mean, at the same time, it's very appreciated. I mean, any donations, like I talked about, anything that someone's like, oh, I think you deserve some, this cash donation from me, is appreciated. All donations are appreciated. I already said I appreciate anybody who just comes in general, listens to my videos, even if they click in for like 2 minutes and then leave. I appreciate, but at the same time, there is an extra level of gratitude when somebody gives you money thinking that, you deserve this extra bit. And I'm not sure if I deserve it, but, I'm not going to argue with somebody's generosity. And it just shows that it's like, well, cool. Well, I'm glad people appreciate me. Don't let yourself something nice. I got to figure out what I want to get with it. It'll probably actually go towards my Natsu figure, which should be here. Last time I talked to the dude, I discussed my figure, which I'm hoping it gets here soon. Like, originally the guy said around November, December, but then the last time I talked to him, he said I think around mid-January. So I'll now that I remembered, I'm gonna message him after the stream and just be like, hey, I don't mean to, I try not to be rude, but I'm like, hey, how's this going? Hopefully he'll show me like, oh yeah, it's almost done or something. I always get worried about like if I'm getting scammed and stuff, but the fact that I have messages of him saying, oh yeah, it's gonna be around this time. I'm sure if I brought it up to eBay, they would refund me, but I don't think he's a scam guy. I looked at all his reviews, so I got faith that I'm gonna get it. And when I get it, I'm gonna do a unboxing review because it's such a cool figure. I think you guys will really have a lot of fun with it. Worried my cats are gonna get in the way though when I do it. Anyway, making more memes on Pinterest. What kind of memes you making? I actually just bought some manga. I've been slacking lately, but I recently bought. I got caught up on Black Clover Eden Zero, and then I bought Drifting Dragons, which I haven't tried yet, but I think it's kind of like from the premise that I got looking at it, like just kind of skimming it, it's like World War II, I think World War II, but instead of planes and stuff, they have dragons, which sounds really cool, which I'll check out. Hopefully I can read it soon. I bought it the weekend before Christmas, and I was sick that weekend. Like, I was horribly sick. It was awful. But if I can ever remember, I'll get around to it. Yeah, So the one that I got is not the Natsu and Igneo one. It's the Dragon Cry half dragon form. I do want to get that Natsu and Igneo one at some point, but this is the one that I wanted to get first. Just because for one, it was, I mean, I think it was like 700. It was like, I think total it was like 800 something. I think the base price for the one where Natsu has Igneo behind him, the Tartarus outfit, which is obviously one of the reasons I really want it. Tartarus, big, my favorite arc. And then I can't really count 100 Years Quest, because 100 Years Quest I see more of like a saga. It's this big, kind of like with Black Clover. I consider like it not like, oh, all these different. I consider it really, you have all these miniature arcs, but it's more of like the Elf Resurrection arc from start up until the end of that arc and where we're at now. 100 Years Quest, I see it more of a saga. And that's why it's not like, it can be all these set arcs, but I think overall, unlike the other ones, it's more of collided in this big over one. I mean, obviously with the title and whatnot. But, yeah, I'll get that one at some point. Like I said, I think that the starting price, I don't even know if it was with shipping and stuff, for the one with Igneo behind him was like 1,300 or something. I do plan on getting that one. I gotta save up. But the Natsu what I'm very much happy about. I really want them to make more, because I think like Naruto and One Piece have a lot of figures. I really wish that Fairy Tail had more. I want some like Mardgear, Igneel, Zareth, Acnologia. A lot of the ones that are just like, the big chads of the series. And it makes me really happy. Like, I'd be perfectly fine by, even if it's like, oh, first time Dragon Force Natsu. Man, I'd buy like Grand Magic Games when he stole the crown from the king and, was dressed up all super fancy. I'll buy that one. I love that part. That part's very funny to me. So do you think Eden Zero anime for fall 2020? Hiramashima said that there was going to be a lot of announcements for his works this year. And the most likely ones I think that people can look at are, 100 Years Quest, and I think the most likely one is Eden Zero anime. Another Fairy Tail movie, possibly 100 Years Quest anime. Those are probably the most likely three. With that, I've talked about it before. Eden Zero, similar to Samurai 8, I think will be a lot more popular with an anime. And, as long as they get a good animation group. Because with space, I feel like space animes are way more appealing with anime, or space series rather, are more appealing with animes, because you get a lot of that colorful space kind of setup. And though you can easily have really beautiful looking, layouts and environments in any series, I think just the mystery of space is a little bit different, because space is like, versus like, oh, you have, for instance, going to Edelus in Fairy Tail, we had, all this crazy, all these moons, this weird floating landscape and floating rivers and stuff, and all these weird animals and whatnot. Very beautiful, very cool to look at. But with space is just so vast, and there's so many things you can do with it. Just not even have to like explain, like, oh, this is just it's just cosmic space dust. It's colorful. It's wonderful to look at. That alone, I think, is really just one of those things that you can do with space series. And I just see it personally. I think it'll do better, like a lot, just out of visuals alone. So I'm really hoping to get a good animation group, a good studio. With Fairy Tail, I still have suspicions that the reason that Hiramashima switched the name to 100 Years Quest is so it's technically a different IP. So maybe he can get a different animation group. And I still say good animation group, or don't even bother animating 100 Years Quest. Because 100 Years Quest has been it's been so good. It's been so consistent. A good animation group behind it, I think, can really, really like re-thrive Fairy Tail a lot, especially with the game coming out, and the game looks like it's going to be really fun. But I think anybody knows that like good animation alone can at least draw attention to something. And Albreth has its flaws. There are some pacing issues. I will agree, Hiramashima. I think he dropped the ball in some areas, but I think that's because of the pacing issues. But I suspect it was so he can get it up to like the same spot as 100 Years Quest, so he can get that different IP. But, I mean, I still think he had beef with his editor too. And because we know immediately after Fairy Tail quote unquote ended, he got a whole different editorial group, and 100 Years Quest isn't in Weekly Shonen Magazine. It's just in the Manga Poke app. It's still under Kondasha, but it is also under a different editor and whatnot. So I think he just wanted to get it into a much more free to use kind of spot. Oh, because there were some spots where if you look at his notes, like he wanted Tartarus to be longer, and his editor made him cut it short. His editor wanted, I know like he also wanted like it to be like the Spriggan 5, but he really wanted the 12, and then we got the Spriggan 12. It seemed to me like there was some no, maybe some creative beefs behind the scenes, and especially someone like Hiroshima, who's a very creative guy, who really likes to do lots of crazy stuff. I think that's really restrictive on his imagination. I don't like the idea of restricting creative dudes' creativities in general. And I know some people get mad about certain things, but I don't like it. I don't like the idea of in any way restricting someone's creative abilities. Because, one, it's fiction. Even if they do something really messed up, it's fiction. Can't hurt anybody. But I don't like that idea. Because as I've mentioned before, I really wish I could draw. I got a drawing tablet, but I still don't really practice much. I really wish I could draw. I have a lot of ideas for stories and whatnot, but I can't draw. And whenever I see like some of these guys, like people try and say like authors can't do certain things, I though I'm not a professional creator, I still like to believe I have somewhat of the passion of one. And obviously, again, I'm not pro. I would be amateur even if I could draw. But at the same time, I can understand the creative mind enough to know that things you create are part of you, and when someone restricts that ability, it just bothers me. It's the same thing of like, even when some people like will pray. I know, like, I'm not gonna name names. Anybody's on Twitter knows the guy who, he was happy when was it Tokyo Shinobi Squad got canceled, and I just imagine like the writer. Could you imagine being somebody? It's like you spent your whole life reading and loving manga and comics. You got your own serialized franchise. Obviously, it wasn't a big. I think it's still a franchise as long as it's as long as it's official. I don't really know, but you got your own series established, and not only that, it's in Shonen Jump. It's in the biggest magazine of manga. I imagine you'd be super happy about that. It'd be so exciting. And then the idea that the series that you're so excited about got serialized and that exists now gets canceled, it'd be soul crushing. So I couldn't even imagine how painful that would be. I mean, it's not like the worst thing that could happen to you, but it'd be so sad. Like, it's just like, well, people didn't like what you did. It'd just be depressing. It would be super sad if it's like, we can't have you in our magazine because our readers don't like your works. It was just like the idea behind that just hurts me even now. It's not even a specific artist. It just bothers me. Again, I wish I could draw so I could be a creative, more creative person. So I can't even imagine some of these people who finally, like, in their minds they made it, and then their dreams are just stepped on. But luckily, you got some of these guys similar to that of Tabata. Black Clover, he had Hungry Joker, but it failed, got canceled. But then he came back with Black Clover, and it's been very successful. You gotta keep trying, which though is part of the game when you create things, whether it be comics, manga, inventions. Eventually you might strike gold, and it's just that don't give up mentality that it's still good. Even if you fail at something, it's nice to know that you can. There's always a chance to try again. Anyway, if you want to thank me for starting and reviewing Kingdom Got Crush, oh yeah, I'll check that out. I will at me on Twitter. Again, I know I always say that, but at me on Twitter, and literally you don't have to say, hey, read this. Just at me with the name, and then I will hopefully remember to check it out. I've read all of the series and I've watched the anime, so it's not like I don't know anything about it. I will be going in with a fair amount of knowledge, and still remembering old Tatsumi in his dragon form. Actually, does he play it? Does he do anything in it? I like the idea of him coming back. Obviously he's a badass dragon, but I don't want him to because I know he finally got somewhat of a happy ending. Picked up some new manga yesterday, Rex. 2 volumes of Black Butler, 2 volumes of Devil as a Part-Timer. I've watched the anime of The Devil as a Part-Timer. I like the idea of like a reverse isekai. I still think that's kind of funny. Streams are easier to talk to people, a lot more fun. Yeah, it's a lot quicker because I think I'm not like one of those lightning typers who can,
oh, 300 words plus minute. I think I can type fairly quick, which still makes me laugh because I remember in high school, not high school, elementary, middle, like I think it was middle. I know elementary school. I think a lot of people remember like computer. I don't know if it's other schools. I had like computer class, and one of the things we would do is like, you would have to put stuff over the keyboard, and you had to type out things so you could get like, just muscle memory of where keys are and whatnot. And I remember I was like, this is so stupid. I can't just look at the keys and know what I'm typing. And then nowadays, I don't even look half the time, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I can do this. It's one of those times I look back at school and be like, all right, fine, you guys got me there. Asta time skip versus Fire Dragon King Mode Natsu. Natsu's gonna one shot. Natsu and base can one shot. Natsu is significantly a counter to Asta. And the reason that is though Asta has the anti-magic swords, his body is not immune to magic. Even in his black form, he is not immune to magic. And though he has the ability to, like, spell comes at him, he can cut it, or, like, regardless of the sword, he gets swords different effects. He can just straight Demon Dweller sword, cut it and absorb it, or he can Demon Slaying sword, deflect it or cut it, whatnot. But the thing about fire specifically, and you could say the same thing about like cold and stuff, fire has heat. Heat is energy. It can damage you. Hot enough heat can straight kill you. Not only will it burn your skin, it hurts your eyes, hurts your lungs, it makes it hard to breathe. And someone like Asta, it literally would be just standing near Natsu, not even taking his attacks, not even the, oh, well, can I hit him and whatnot, can I do certain things? The heat alone will damage him. And Natsu, who casually, not even now, at base Albereth arcs, before in the whole prelude, right after the time skip, right into part 3. Part 3. Part 1 is all the way up to Sirius Island. Grand Magic Games is Tartarus is part 2. Albereth is part 3, and currently we're in part 4. Anything that, to me, where there's a large gap of time, I consider a part. Like right now, I think we're in part 2 of Black Clover. But even base of part 3, you casually melted the Grand Magic Games arena, and that thing, I think it's around a kilometer wide of just rock melting. That is his base level of heat. Not even that's what it was. Not even now. That fact, I don't see Natsu really having trouble. Plus, we know he's already fought an anti-mage before. Like, Yuka has anti-magic. It's not the same as Black Clover's, but it is still a form of anti-magic. Natsu knows ways around it. He's got experience against people fighting him with weapons. So I see him way more set in this, not only power levels, but experience. Like, Asta doesn't have a lot of experience fighting battle mages. Like, we saw, like, back when, like, similar to Marileona. Marileona is very different than a lot of other periods, because in Fairy Tail, combat mages, I don't have an exact number, but I would say maybe, like, 1 in 5. There's mostly casters, but there's still people like Natsu, like any Dragon Slayer, someone like Urza and whatnot with, Requip, like swordsmen and whatnot. Anybody that's straight, like, melee combat right up in your face, you're a combat mage. And where combat mages and combat wizards are existent in Fairy Tail, they're not as obviously common as, like, a normal caster. In Black Clover, there are very few combat wizards. Like, very few. You got Asta, obviously. Well, he's not a wizard. He's more of an anti-wizard. But count him in there. Someone like Marileona. That guy that's the vice captain of the Crimson Lions, I forgot his name. But he would be considered it because he uses those air pockets. He uses, like, air pressure magic. He's got to be a right up. He's got range, but from what we saw, he's primarily, like, martial arts. So him, anybody around that line. So where Asta doesn't have a lot of experience fighting people who are, straight combat mages, Natsu does have experience fighting people with weapons. Like, we look back at the Hungry Wolf Knights, he straight caught the dude's scythe, cracked it, and he can't, see, that's another hard thing. It's like, oh, well, he can't catch Asta's swords, but he can. He doesn't need magic, to catch the sword. Asta's swords are pretty blunt. And the fact that Natsu... one of the things that is really, really underlooked at is Natsu's physical strength. Because the Fairy Tail characters aren't like, again, easy to use, One Piece. Whereas, generally in One Piece, characters have superhuman strength, even without a devil fruit. Like, look at Luffy lugging around Luffy lugging around the big ass golden ball back in Skypiea, or Whitebeard being able to stop one of his ships that just came at him by just lifting his hand up, stopping it. Doesn't even need powers. It's just their straight physical strength. With Fairy Tail, generally characters with no magic involved aren't that strong. They still have some superhuman feats, but it's not the same level. Like when it comes to just straight physical strength, obviously a lot of series outclass it. Seven Deadly Sins for one. A lot of characters in Seven Deadly Sins have straight physical strength and don't need to be like a classic caster, regardless if they're using magic or not. They just have a physically strong body. With Natsu, though he has some that'd be like, oh, that's still superhuman. It's not like he's crazy strong physically. Without magic, that is. There's a part in Dragon Cry which is so... It gives him such a level of physical strength, maybe not lifting, but just the amount of physical force he can put into one point, is when he has a piece of stellanium, which is the fictional material in that movie that was introduced. It's essentially kind of like... It's kind of like a diamond lacrima, but it's not like, oh, magic. It absorbs like moonlight, starlight, and it like converts it into magic and holds it inside. The very funny nature about it that was said in the movie is it is stronger than diamond, and Natsu had a big piece of it, probably like the size of maybe like a small football, and he crushed it in his hands, no magic. So Natsu can actually break diamond just out of his grip strength. So he should be pretty good at, if he grabs onto Asta's sword, regardless if he breaks it or not, to just not let go. And at that point, he just pulls Asta in and punches him directly in the face, and it's over. Regardless if he breaks it, he grabs a hold of that sword, it's over. And we know that people who are physically stronger than Asta are one of his counters. Faster, physically stronger are straight one of his counters. Things that he can't magically counter are also one of his counters. And Natsu, who can just straight, again, punch him, doesn't even need magic. Because when we saw his fight with Yuka, remember Yuka, anti-mage in Fairy Tail, just put up a anti-magic dome around him. Natsu couldn't, fire punch, try and get in there because it would hurt him. It would cancel out the magic on him. And it would hurt his body because, they have magic in their body. The Fairy Tail wizards work. And just having it in there hurt him. So what he did, part of it that's outside, not even putting magic on, like, the punching point, fire out the elbow, rocket, just condensed it into a big-ass rocket engine, pretty much, and just accelerated a normal punch and took the guy out. So, which, again, Asta would absolutely have no means to be able to really deal with. Anyway, I've been loving Seraph of the End, such a great read. One of my friends has been telling me to read that, and I like the premise. I'm just lazy when it comes to that. I picked up Blue Exorcist. I really liked it. I gotta pick up Seraph of the End at some point. He's been harassing me about it. I'll get to it. Oh my god, that stupid YouTube pulled me way down. Anyway, where was I? There we go. Where was I? I'm enjoying Twilight Princess manga. There's a manga for Twilight Princess? I really like that game. Does it follow that game, or is it like post or pre-game? So I do wonder what happened to Midna after that. I always liked Midna. I like that weird kind of like way she talked a lot. That like weird fictional language. That was very fun. I can't even try and do it. It's not like Sims where you just say a bunch of gibberish. Rex, have you read Smoke and Parade? I did. So I bought the first 2 volumes. I heard it got canceled. Pretty bummed about that. But I have seen that the guy's new series, what is it? I think Heart Gear is doing actually pretty well. So hopefully I remember seeing such really cool chick. Somebody posted a picture of it, and I was like, damn, that chick looks badass. But I'll get back to it eventually. I read the first couple chapters. But I very much enjoyed it. I liked both series. I'm mad that... Wait, no. I'm thinking of... Smoke and Parade is a different one. What one am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Black Torch. I am thinking of Black Torch. Smoke and Parade I have read. I haven't read very far. I remember where I was at, some like person who used threads, I think died. I don't think that's very far in, but I definitely like the series. I don't remember. I think I just got caught up to where it was at, and then I think shortly after that it got official release. That is one of the ones that I plan on getting. I have to get a new bookshelf. I'm about out of space. I'm still getting furniture for my house, so it's definitely on the list. I've got most of the essentials, so at this point it's just like fun stuff.
But I do want another bookshelf, and Smoke and Parade is one of the series I really want to get, as well as Ajin. I really like Ajin. Sada's my boy. But yeah, I have read it. I do plan on getting more to it. So what do you do for work? It's hard to explain. It's it's sort of like I'm kind of like a processing guy for equipment. I guess that's kind of like the easiest way I could explain it. Processing of equipment. There you go. Getting it from place to place. Similar to like Dead Man Wonderland. Yeah, it definitely was interesting. Hope Zipman keeps going and becomes a great model. I really like Zipman. The thing I really like about Zipman, just as its solo thing, is the way that it's established how the people with the suits are trying to be somebody they want to be, not who they are. And it doesn't just include like, oh, I want to be a really cool bad guy or whatnot. I really want to have like these powers. Some of the characters being references to like things they're fans of, like the guy who was like the cutie charm. But also we saw in one of the silhouettes, one of the guys looks like Optimus Prime, and one guy looks like Devilman, which I think is just really cool that you could have like an easy way to do references without it being too try hard. I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head that would be like, oh, we're trying really hard to reference this series or whatnot. But you know what I mean. When they're doing something more for the reference than for fun. And I really like the way that it will tie into obvious aspects about the canon and the way that the powers are all set up with it. These people kind of like putting on these suits because they want to be something else. I just think that's really neat. Some people say Easy will be. Okay, I read that one. Dark and the Freight Tone. I don't know about that. Still waiting for Chapter 5 comes out tomorrow. Yeah, hope so. But it's a Dust Rebecca. Is that a JoJo reference? Lightning Flame Dragon Roar was badass in the end, but it was way bigger in the anime. Because like in the manga, you see it kind of like tear up that hillside, and then it kind of like breaks off when it gets to the height of it. Whereas in the anime, it's like a straight beam through the sky. Like legitimately in the anime version, if Natsu aimed it down, it would have wiped out the entire island. Like it was just like a giant atomic beam. It was pretty crazy. Because like we've seen that Laxus and Sting like have both mid roar move their faces and their elements will kind of like bend and they can manipulate it. Like I just imagine like Natsu just using that beam, that big version of it in the anime, and then just like turning his head and wiping out the entire island. That would have been wild. What is Shiki combined win with? Oh, I read that one. Do you think we'll ever get a reference to heroes in either Easy or Fairy Tail? So that's the hard one. Because like I've said, it seems more like the multiverse, and you have like an alternate universe version of each of the series that's tied to heroes. Because we know that there is, like for Fairy Tail, there is a multiverse. Like you have Edalus, where it's the same characters, but it's an alternate version. Aspects about them are changed. Because, like, for instance, with Ravemaster I think is the easiest one to use because Ravemaster ended. It's the easiest one to kind of pull out aspects and be like, it has to be an alternate universe. It can't be the one from the series because, one, Haru has Eyes and Meteor. He destroyed Eyes and Meteor right before the big final battle. And Revolt became the base form of his swords. His swords all have different appearances except for Revolt. So it's like, why did they all get upgraded? Where was this upgrade? They wouldn't be looking for Darkbrings because the Darkbrings were all destroyed at the end of the series. It's just an Elseworld. You don't need to know why these things are different because it's just alternate universe. Those things aren't important. It's a crossover universe. So don't even bother trying to make out specifics. The importance of those are not there. The importance is these characters crossover. It's gonna be awesome. Via who plays Rocket and MJ is going to voice Nero upcoming episodes of Black Clover. Oh, that's cool. Somebody made a comment. She actually looks like her, which I saw. It's kind of funny. And Ochaka. That character. I saw like a volume extra, or I don't know, a data book where it explains like how her OP her power actually is. It's not just like gravity manipulation. It like messes with space time around specific objects. And I'm just like, how does she get such a good power? And Horikoshi knows it's a really good power, but she doesn't do anything with her. That's the thing I think about her that bothers me the most. It's like, you have such potential, but you don't do anything. It sucks. Godfire Magic Wasted. Godslayer Magic Wasted, you mean? Godslayers have this weird presence in the series where they consistently get beat up on, where we've seen God slaying. Like originally, I was like, well, maybe God slaying. Like this is way back, way back. Probably around Grand Magic Games, maybe even before. Just speculating God slaying magic. I was like, well, maybe it was literally just somebody saw the aspects about dragon slaying and made it like a beefier version through whatever means. Maybe some dark magic involved. Maybe that's why the elements are black. And we saw actually in Albrecht that it does work on a god, so there's more questions where they came from. Like demon slaying magic can just come similar to that of dragon slaying, but I like the idea more of it being like maybe the people, force themselves to kind of like become demonic in order to hunt demons. More less of like the dragon war where it was like we need to make soldiers for our side in order to get peace between humans and dragons, whereas like demons, maybe that would explain why the demon slayers slowly become like demonic, not just in body but in heart. Would be really cool. God slaying is a mystery, and I don't know if we'll ever actually find out about it, because literally the only god slayer we have now is Orga. Like, Zankro is dead, which I wish wasn't the case. I really, really, really wish he lived. And so eventually we would have got a rematch between him and Natsu, but he's dead, and we're never going to get that. Plus, it would have been so cool. Like, imagine if post-time skip, he was either the Guildmaster of Grimoire Heart. I also remember having this, like, theory of maybe the Guildmaster... Like, well, I guess it's not a theory. It was like a fan idea of like if Laxus never showed up on. Imagine Laxus never showed up on Sirius Island and he never changed who he was, and that he was the Guildmaster of Sabretooth. I'm just remembering old theories now because I'm speculating God slaying. We'll probably never find out about like aspects about God slaying unless we get like find out. Oh well, there's actually makes me think about it. Maybe the Black Dragon Slayer Knights will have like other like Slayer attributes pulled in. Like maybe we'll get like somebody who's like uses dragon and god slaying magic. I don't know. That'd be cool. And then maybe we can find out something about god slaying, because right now we really only have Orga, and sorry to Orga, he's probably the least relevant of all of the like Sabretooth core. Because you have Sting and Rogue, Dragon Slayers, easy to use them. Minerva, who's she was the ace of their guild. She's still got a pretty fair redemption story, character arc. I really wish he never became good again, but it happened, and we still got some nice stuff out of it. Yukino has her whole tie to Serrano, which is very interesting. Plus, she's still got some of the keys, and I still am wondering if Lucy's ever going to get those. Rufus, what's funny about Rufus is if you go look back at the whole arc in the Grand Magic games, Rufus was like their key player in a lot of ways, just because of how kind of, really strong his magic was. He wasn't the most durable guy, but at the same time, he was definitely a tricky player. Orga, unfortunately, like, he was the only one that really got just wasted. Because even though, like, Yukino got quick beat by Kagura, she had a bigger role in the story and more to do. Orga never really got anything beyond that. Like, he didn't even get anything to do during Albereth, which is just like, poor dude. Godsling is like that group in... It's funny. It's like, you have, like, kind of, like, specifics. It's like Star Trek. They have the red shirt guys. If they have the red shirt, they're probably going to die. If a Godslayer shows up in Fairy Tail, like, that guy's going to be really impressive for, like, a chapter or two, and then he's probably going to die. Or just, like, never be heard from again. A Godslayer. I mean, like, we didn't even get, like, a Godslayer in the Spriggan 12. Like, the Godslayers are probably the most unutilized but most neglected group in all of Fairy Tail, to be perfectly honest. Tenka to not confuse Final Dragon with Final Flash. Pisses me off. Bad idea. Final Flash, like, I think it's Final Flash, really, there's nothing that special to it other than just it's a bigger move. It's weird. Like, Big Bang Attack is like, I guess Big Bang Attack too. I mean, like, not a lot of Dragon Ball powers, honestly, are that different than just energy attacks in special ways. Demon King Shiki versus Blue Knight, read that one. Natsu and Urza versus Goldarts and Laxus. Ooh. So that's a hard one. I'm going to go, honestly, I'm going to go Natsu and Urza because Natsu, like, the Dragon Force. I mean, like, right now, it's the fact he can use Dragon Force at will that really turns it, because though he's got Fire Dragon King mode, if he lands a Dragon Force hit on Laxus or Goldarts, it's over. There's nothing they can do about it. I did have this really fun idea for Urza, because I really like the idea now that she's got, like she has, the Natsu and Gray Enchanted Swords.
I was like, why stop there? I really love the idea because Urza, I think above the other members of the guild has this tie to them about more about her in her combination of the guild. Um, goddamn, Kimano, you another 50. Oh, goddamn, why? Your generosity is very appreciated. It's the surprise that's getting me, man. Let me read this real quick. God damn it, man. Uh, I have to go. I have a lot to do, but I'm going to give you one more present before I leave. If you want to thank me or repeat one more time, read and review Hinaway.
Oh, shit. You just busted a nut.
Read Hinaway. I'll be looking to see if you actually make a review video for Merry Christmas Rex. I will make a review video. I'm going to read it. I'm going to review it. I have one question on it. Is it ongoing? That's the only question I have about it. I will do it, but I actually want to I just want to know if it's ongoing, just from the idea of like, well, I can do a review, but I can also, if it's ongoing, I can do regular reviews, or if it's finished, I could just do an overall review. Either way, it's just that curiosity over that. Regardless of which, very much appreciated, man. You're surprising me out of all spots with these super chats, dude. God damn. Now you have super chatted me more than I know the amount that you've super chatted me, and it's probably like 95% of the super chats that I've gotten. God damn, dude. Anyway, yeah, very much appreciated. But before I don't want to lose the spot. Again, I very much appreciate your super chats, but I don't want to lose this because I want to do a video on this, but I just want to share it with you guys really quick because obviously I'm in the stream, and I thought of this recently, and before I do the video, I think it'd be really cool to hear actual feedback live. It's like similar to Laxus, and not only Laxus is, his Red Lightning Dragon mode, is really cool, but also it has stuff to do with his blood and whatnot, and we saw ties in Fairy Tail, though they can be beyond blood. His was like that flashback more about like the lineage with the Dryers, even though we know one of the things about Fairy Tail is, family doesn't have to be by blood. It is cool for Laxus, just in that personal thing, like, his issues with his family life. But with Urza, I think above all other members of the series has a thing about, being part of it, because Natsu was very happy to join, and like Gray and all that. Everybody was very happy to be a member. Urza, even though joining, with the whole like thing about like she wears armor as like it's like a representation of her shielding her heart, and she wasn't able to really, even though she was close to people, there were aspects about her that she was never really honest with them about until after the Tower of Heaven arc. And after that point, we found out about her, and then like in the Sirius Island arc, I still love that part. I love when she's fighting Azuma, and then she comes out of his attack, and then the energy behind her, because we know that the whole energy of Sirius Island originally is supposed to protect and power up and protect members of the Fairy Tail Guild, anybody who had the Fairy Tail mark, and the way that it was represented, because Urza was always like, I have to protect the people of the guild, but really in a way they all saved and protect her, and she realized that. And so the energy behind her was all represented as like members of the guild, standing firm behind her, pushing her forward. I really love that part. And from that, I love the idea of like Urza having not only like amongst her magic and like her armors and weaponry, having an enchanted sword that she has one for each of the members. I think that is really cool. And so it'd be like not only would it be good for Urza's arsenal, but it would also be like she's always got a member of the guild with her, and there's always one fighting with her in spirit, and literally and physically enchanted their power into her sword. Imagine how cool that would be. It'd be such a really, really beautiful like way to present her character, and to just give her such an emotional expansion to her as who she is, but also her arsenal and the way that it ties to the guild and like what Fairy Tail represents. It would be I'm really, really hoping that they have that in mind, and that is why they gave it. Like, it wasn't just let's give Urza these enchanted swords of Natsu, like that have Natsu and Gray's power in them. I'm hoping it was the start of that, because it would be such a really good way to push Urza as a character, and to tie like how much she loves the guild, and how much every single member of the guild is is with her at the same time, and really gives such a good callback to that whole part when she the energy in Sirius Island was being presented as members of the guild. I'm gonna do a video on that because I want to talk further in depth about like what that can mean and really like how well I think that would be a way to kind of both advance and write her character. But I just wanted to get that out here with you guys right now because I thought of that the other day and I was very, very happy about it. You know, if you've watched my whole video on like when looking at some aspects about the White Witch and my mystery of like, well, the start of 100 Years Quest, you get Elefseri, it's about how magic is an evil, you know, forming the guilds and whatnot. And, you know, the fact that the White Witch is over 100 years old, and we know that the guilds were formed 160 years prior, that maybe those were related, because she's like, magic is evil, but when it's all gathered up, it becomes evil. And Elefseri, it's like, it's not evil, we need to bring wizards together, create guilds, so he is the reason why they're all bunched up together, and might have, maybe the White Witch was in that guild, or that town that got destroyed that we saw at the start of 100 Years Quest. Or maybe she's set in the Caravan Trade War. Like, if you've seen the timeline, the second trade war started a little over 100 years from where the series is at now. And we know that during the trade war, wizards getting involved, like, really were a big deal. And that's, you know, what led Mavis to end up getting her Curse of Ankh-Saram. So it would be really cool to, like, link that up. And it wasn't just a cool theory. I really liked how that added to the story, but also tied into previous events. And I really like the idea of Urza and her swords to end up not only being like, oh, it's a way to become more powerful, but it also really just shows, it really just kind of like adds as a commentary, but also ties her feelings towards the guild and how she's always it's not just, oh, I'm fighting with them. It's like I'm not fighting for them, I'm fighting with them. And I really like that about Urza. And just, man, the idea about it is both cool, again, in the way that she could have it in fights, but just, like, the emotional weight behind it, I think would be great. Sheik is literally a demon when he is blinded by rage. I like that. Like, he gives off villain vibes. Like, when he's looking down at Kernite, he gives off villain vibes. I think that's cool. Airship battles are cool. Just imagine the great animation we can get with the right studio. Yeah, again, it would be so cool. Like, that's like one of the big things about sci-fi too, are spaceship battles. And I really like the idea of like Eden Zero, anytime like it's big power level stuff, it's with spaceships. And it's like they're like the Eden Zero has their whole the Ethereon, like they have an Ethereon cannon. And I'm wondering what theirs is going to be different versus Ethereon Wraithmaster, Ethereon Fairy Tail. And to see exactly like this is probably what makes Eden Zero such a powerful, like commanding ship. So well, let's see how that goes. I am stoked to see the level that's all played. Do you think Asta's origin is going to be connected to the anti-magic devil? No. I want Asta to stick to being a nobody in birth. I very much don't want Asta's birth or, you know, his origins to be anything special. The thing that I really liked about Yuno is we don't know which one is the elf, the Licton Tedia child, and we don't know which one is the Spade Prince, because we know they're both in one body. I still think that the one we know is the child of Licton Tedia, and the Spade Prince is locked in there somewhere, and, there's some complications in that. But I like the way that regardless of which, he is of a special birth. We know that Yuno is very, he's a prodigy in magic. He's very much that born with talent. He still has to work for aspects of it, but he's very much talented. Whereas Asta, I like that idea, whereas one is very, very talented, and it's further expanded that regardless of which one is the real the one that we know rather actually is the version that we see, regardless of Spade Prince or Licton Tedia child, regardless of which he's got like this special origin and stuff. Whereas Asta, I like the idea that he's just some birth defect, he's some child of unfortunate, he's just like family. Like, it would add a lot to it if it's like this child was born with no magic and that's why his parents ditched him. And then he is where he is because of hard work and stuff. But I also like the idea that similar to how the devil, the anti-magic devil, is different from the other devils, like maybe he doesn't really know the other devils, but the fact he's different because he has anti-magic, maybe he liked that about Asta. Because so far, the only interactions we've seen with them, he seemed pretty straightforward, and he didn't have, like, though he looks very menacing, he didn't seem evil. Which I'm hoping it's all of, like, still just a nice guy. What's up, Captain Merkel? How's it going? I haven't seen you in a bit. What's your favorite anime manga in 2019? It's Fairy Tail. It's probably always going to be that. I mean, it's so much fun. In anime, there's a lot of anime I didn't watch. The two obviously that stood out the most for me is going to be three: Fairy Tail anime, Black Clover anime, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. Those were by far the most prominent for me of the year. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, I had a lot of fun in the end of that series. You know, we're geared up for the new series. First episode is Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode 1000, which is going to be really cool. Black Clover's had a lot of really good moments in 2019 as well. And Fairy Tail, I mean, I just love Fairy Tail. I mean, I think I've made that abundantly clear. If anybody from Dragon's Sugar joining Z is probably going to beat Maria. Yeah, I can see that. 100%. I was thinking more about just the Element 4. I can see Maria joining. I like her. I like that she's like this cute little space slime. It'd be really cool, actually, if she's constantly just shifting into other people. Like, you know, somewhere out, like, you know, there's a lot of outfit changes in Eden Zero. It'd be really fun if Maria just is constantly taking different shapes, and we just see her as all these different ones. It would also give them a really cool addition that they would have, like, a recon person. They could have somebody, like, if they needed to, sneak in and find information and whatnot. Because nobody on the team really has that for it. They don't really have, like, a character that would be really capable of that. I mean, Wise sort of could with this whole disguise technology, but we know that it's easy to get past. You know, that they can still sense ether gear, or they can sense their ether gear and whatnot, and there's stuff that, like, oh, EMP, whereas Maria, she's a slime, she's just shape-shifting. You do, like, an EMP where it could shut off ether gear. Wouldn't work with her power, I imagine, because she's not doing it because of ether gear abilities. You know, I feel bad for Shinra. He fought so hard to get Sho back, but only did the Evangelist took Sho back, and Shinra nearly got crippled entirely. Yeah, it's they're. I'm trying to remember that part because I'm not caught up with the anime. I saw that animation though, and I'm so happy that. What's funny is, like, I see, like, a lot of these animation scenes, and I'm like, that looks great, and at the same time, I'm like, I'm so happy for these fandoms, but I'm so jealous at the same time. That part where they're fighting and you just see the footstep. Oh, my cat showed up. Hey, buddy. That part where just, like, the flaming footsteps showed up was such a cool, like, animation thing to do. And the aesthetic of it was absolutely fantastic. Not even counting, like, the fact that it was really well animated. Even if it was, like, in a meh animation scene, like, it had, like, oh, just the animation of that part was all right. The fact that they put that in there just as, like, an aesthetic for, like, you know, getting immersed in the scene was awesome. Just because of that idea of, like, while you're fighting, like, that guy who doesn't really have powers, he's just seeing, you know, the movement of speed. But for Shinra, who leaves, you know, the devil's footprints behind, that part, you know, it was such, like, a aesthetic masterpiece. I think that just having that be part of it and the way they animated that, again, even if the animation part was just like, man, just like the sound of footsteps and the visual scenes of just footsteps, and you're just seeing that he was there at one point, was so cool. But yeah, and I very much like Fire Force. I still need to reread it because I want to get back to reviewing it regularly for my channel. Because I do love Shonen Jump, but I really like a lot of Shonen Magazine series as well. And then I review Seven Deadly Sins and Fairy Tail and whatnot, Eden Zero. Well, Fairy Tail's not in the magazine anymore, but still tied to it, you know what I mean? And I want to keep Fire Force because I do like Fire Force. I really want Orient to get a really regular review, because if you haven't read Orient, it's by the lady who did Magi. And I lost a lot of care in Magi near the end. I don't know. Personally, I did. I know a lot of people who stuck with it, really enjoyed it. I'll finish it eventually. But I really like the layout of Orient. I really like the themes and like the way that the world is set up. I really like the main character too. Musashi, he's really cool. I know that Musashi is... He's based off of... Him and the rival are based off of... I don't know if they're Japanese legends or they're real people. I don't know. I just know that they're based off of, famous Japanese figures from long ago. But... yeah, I really like that series. I really like the setup. I really like the layout. I'm hoping it gets either a official release or a consistent fan release, because I really want to follow that series more. I do read them, but I don't do reviews because I don't like to do reviews that don't have consistent releases, because then I try to have somewhat of a schedule. And if I review something and it's like, oh, cool, all right, cool, I got a week or 2 weeks, like with 100 Years Quest, till the next one. I don't like it's like, well, I have no idea when the next chapter will be able to be read to put out. Like at Orient, if you've never read it, keeps having like those like chapter like drops where it's like, hey, it's been 4 months, but here's 5 chapters. We'll get to more eventually. Like right now, I think the online in English, the fan translations are at like 40 something, but the manga's at like 70 something. So it's like, well, I can't even read it up to what's going on right now. So eventually, I imagine it will get either an official release, which at that point I'll be fine with. I really want it to be more simultaneous release because though I enjoy buying volumes. I want to be kept. I don't want to have to wait like 2 or 3 months just to read a whole volume to see what happened. I'd rather read it, simultaneously because otherwise you have to worry about spoilers and whatnot too. So Nina Black Clover OP. I did hear it. I'm looking for the episode. I'm super stoked. So the animation, I think on top of it will make it even more hype. I'm pretty stoked. It's this week. Yeah, the next episode with all the new OP and EDs are going to be this week. On this one, we get Dark Elf. Nozelle's going to show up. We're going to see that Silver Star of Execution. That is going to be so hype. I love that part. Backstory was a little dark. Hermit's backstory was a little sad. It wasn't like super dark. I think it was more emotional than anything. I don't think it was like I don't think it was as dark. Something like again like Urza's backstory. I think it was very emotional. Because I think that was more what it was about, and like the way that it just kind of crushed who she was. Time to make a Black Clover top 10 openings. This is going to be tough. Oh, that's not for me. No, 3 is still going to be number 1, and unless the animation scenes fly super hard with this song. So it's like I can hear just the music of 3 and 10, and I love 3 so much. I love the bass drops and the way that it flows. 3 is still my favorite one for Black Clover. So 3, I really like 3, 9, and I don't remember if it's 6 or 7. I had to go re-listen, but 3 and 9 are definitely up there for me. Shiki would have killed the League of Pinot. Oh no, yeah, he definitely would have killed him. I 100% think he would have beat him to death. 100%. I 100% agree with you on that one. The people who are making OP 10 along, yeah, I know they made number 3. So that's why I'm pretty excited. Plus, I'm looking forward to the animation and the way that they, the anime, opening scene and the way that they kind of, show stuff that's going to happen. I'm really hoping that they allude to like that. Don't show the full scene, but the part when Licht becomes the demon, and he wants, he says like, he wants Lumiere to kill him, and just that like super shaded, and you have his arms out and the big creepy fingers. I'm hoping they have that part. But not too much, because, we know that some openings are very prone to spoiling. Live action adaptations are still garbage. Not all of them, just most of them. Yeah, Black Clover look good in comparison. I know, the 7 Deadly Sins anime. Rex, did you watch the Black Clover 115? I did, I loved it. I'm super stoked for the next one. So it's just as a side note, I'll go through this really quick. Apparently, because everyone was hyping up 115 because Yoshihara was on it. It was a monumental episode, obviously, in the story because that's when the Word Devil showed up. But apparently, the episode that we should be getting hype for is this month. It said sometime in January, that's the hype episode. So I'm guessing we're going to get a bigger episode than 115 and, a lot more beautiful animation. I don't think it'll be this month, but I'm hoping it's the scene where Lumiere fights Demon Licht. I'm hoping that is, because to me, that is the next big hype part. I know there's the whole fight against, against Dark Elf, Patri, and, Asta going in and saving him and whatnot. But to me, the next big hype fight is that scene, because just remembering that part when Lumiere is, moving all around and throwing these massive, light swords at Licht is still so cool to me. Personally, I think it's the next big scene. And then after that, it's probably Black Divider and then the kill. I would put it there. Black Divider, definitely. Black Divider, that final slash, needs to be a Yoshihara episode. It needs to be. It's such a big part in Black Clover, and as well as obviously when they beat the Word Devil. But just the fact that I think it's a little bit underplayed. Asta inventing an anti-spell is such a big step for him, which I really like. And I'm really hoping the Black Divider scene is well animated. I know that has his own moment there, but Yuno's is more of like, good for you. That's sweet. That looks really cool. Asta's is, I think, a lot a lot bigger in impact, personally. Oscar did the right thing. Ironwood would be able to keep his cool in the face-to-face of the truth. Ironwood and Oscar have both been really good this volume. It's funny because I talked about how Ruby has not had a lot of presence in this volume, and I've been perfectly okay with that. I've been much more interested in Ironwood, Oscar, Winter, Petty. I loathe Robin Hill. Everything about her character annoys the hell out of me. I can't stand her at all. Like, she's just obnoxious on all fronts. Oh, crap, I lost my spot. There we go. Nozzle is the next ep going to be why he's the next Wizard King. I argued with this a lot. I personally think it's going to be Fuego Leon, but out of the two of them, out of the captains, I think it's either between Nozel or Fuego Leon. Personally, I think out of those two, I'm gunning for Fuego Leon, but it's definitely down to those two. We know Mary Leona doesn't want to. William, people are going to be fucking furious if it was William. I know a ton of people that would have been so mad, but and we know that he's not going to be the one. I was like laughing of like who would be. Yeah, I know Fuego. It's between Fuego Leon and Nozel, but one of it was curveball, and it was Dorothy or Jack. Jack as Wizard King would be hilarious. It's never gonna happen, but it would be hilarious. I mean, I guess if he was Wizard King, then they would have already been deep war, like marched out that day and attacked the Spade. But it's definitely between Fuego Leon and Nozel. My guess is Fuego Leon. I mean, come on, man. A one-armed king who can have a flaming arm and a dragon behind him is so cool. And especially when he gets Spirit Dive, he's going to be a monster. And I really look forward to that. Imagine Salamander's Breath, Mana Zone. That's going to be so cool. Anyway, Fuego Leon will be Wizard King, has no one to replace him as captain. So, yeah, that is one of the reasons as well, is with Fuego Leon, Mary Leona could stay captain of the Crimson Lions. She can stay captain. Nozel, if he moves up, then what happens to the Silver Eagles? Who's going to step up? They don't really have anybody that could take place. There's nobody in their crew that could be like a replacement as a captain. They don't have anybody else at our captain level or relatively even like remotely close. I mean, like look at the other members of the Silver Eagles we know. Nebra and Solid, they're not going to do anything. Whereas with Crimson Lions, they have both Mary Leona and Fuego Leon. Mary Leona doesn't want to be captain, so the logical or she doesn't want to be Wizard King, so she would be stay captain. Fuego Leon at the king because he wants to be the king. And personally, I think it makes more sense with him because we know not only Wizard King, they need to be very skilled and have good merit. They need to be powerful, and though Nozel is strong, I don't think he's Wizard King level. With Fuego Leon, he was already captain level, got Salamander, so there's obviously a huge boost there. But if he gets Spirit Dive, that's 100% he gonna be Wizard King level. So he could be in that spot if he has Spirit Dive, which I think he could have learned it in 6 months. It's not like he has to have some crazy this revelation, maybe this is a good idea. He literally would have to go up to Yuno and be like, hey, how did you do that? Or I learned, Mana Skin and Mana Zone, and then I developed this. He'd be like, oh, yeah, okay. And he already knows Mana Skin. Practically everyone knows Mana Skin, so he just has to work on, advancing it 6 months. He's not stupid. We know he's smart, so he could definitely do it. Spirit Dive Fuego Leon, 100% to me is believable to be, in that Wizard King territory. Mary Leona is, so for me, there's captain level. There's, in between the two, captain and Wizard King, which I see Mary Leona as. And, then Wizard King. Nozel, I don't see him bypassing that in-between level and then just being Wizard King. Again, to me, it makes more sense for Fuego Leon. I like Fuego Leon, like Nozel. I think it's between the two of them. I think it makes more sense to be Fuego Leon. Just saying. Anyway, true, I think it would be better fit for the title. Yeah, I know. I think it fits way more. Plus, again, Lion Dragon. Lion Dragon! Imagine that. Imagine a Lion Dragon, one-armed king of flames. That's so cool. I know that Nozel is really cool as well, this badass Mercury, but come on. Here for Leon would be the good. Best to wait to see what Tabata does. It's definitely going to be between the two of them. Pregnancy memes with Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns and the taste of of the liar meme. Well, pregnancy memes. What do you mean? Burnout licking meme has used on Sakura when he was confessing her feelings to Naruto, the taste of a liar. I hate Sakura. You think Heroes could be made into a movie? Yeah. I mean, it could be a movie of sorts. It's more likely, personally, I think it will be like an anime special. But I mean, the thing about it being a movie, I don't think it would work as a movie because like with if they could if they want. I mean, they could definitely do it. I don't think it would work as a movie because as a movie, it wouldn't have the same vibes as a crossover should. Because to me, a crossover's like most important trait are the interactions with the characters. You could have a cool bad guy. Genesis was cool. He didn't have to be complex. He didn't have to be some deep character. He had very, very standard villain like speeches and whatnot. He just had a cool design. He opened up a little bit of mystery between the eye marked people within the Mishima world and all the series. But for the most part, like they beat him relatively. They had their fight. They lost. They showed how powerful he was. The characters came back. They were way more serious. They didn't take the guys lightly. And the female heroes, the heroines went and weakened him and helped it so they could win. Yeah, it was a quick victory. It didn't have to be some absurd battle. What we wanted wasn't, oh man, I really can't wait to see a crazy awesome battle that's top 10 anime of the year. No, what we wanted was interactions, and that's exactly what we got with Heroes, and it was awesome. In terms of interactions, we got exactly what we wanted. It was fantastic. I think it would work better as a multi-part OVA than a movie, personally. Yeah, a movie has to have its own kind of personally, I think a movie, especially of a shonen, needs to have good action and whatnot. I think it needs to have, each of the characters get their own moment to shine. Similar to they each get their own short fight, the main character fight and whatnot. A bad guy is important to a movie. I still think a bad guy is important to a movie because when you go into a movie, there's going to be a bad guy. You already, especially if it's an adaptation of a series, the main characters and whatnot. You don't know the bad guy. You need a reason to like or dislike the bad guy. You got to have him built up, I think, a lot more than a crossover character. Let's see. Authors can't do certain things. Make sure. Yeah, it's some people do it very silly. I know, like the people when you see guys, I can't believe a guy would draw a girl character like this. They draw them really, really way it's unrealistically proportionate. I'm like, yeah, it's also a drawing, dude. They're fiction. Calm down. I know. I don't see people complain when it's female authors doing stuff. I mean, yeah, they're probably not gonna. It's not like 99% of the dudes in shoujo manga are all beautiful. So it's well, why aren't you complaining about these unrealistically beautiful dudes everywhere in these worlds? They don't gonna do it. Rex, do you read Radiant or watch the anime? I read the manga. I don't know about the anime. I want to get back to it. I was really annoyed that they kept teetering away from the canon and changing stuff. I'm on volume 4. I need to buy more volumes. I meant to buy more when I was at Barnes and Nobles the other day, but I need to get my new bookshelf so I can buy some more stuff because I'm running out of room on the one I have. I barely have any room, and I'm still formatting some of my area. Right now, I just got 2 bookshelves and I got a glass case, but I have more spots for my figures, so I'm trying to keep more of my more nicer ones of some of my figures in my glass case. Right now, there's only one in there right now because I had all these ones I put downstairs. The Natsu one will definitely be the center stage of it whenever I get it. But yeah, I read the manga one. Asta is proud hearing that. Asta's a good boy. Black versus the World Devil pretty time skip. What do you mean? I'm kind of confused by that. Versus the World Devil pretty time skip. Deku versus Tanjiro. Oh, Deku would absolutely murder Tanjiro. So the Kimetsu no Yaiba guys do not actually have elements. I mean, it's really just swordsmanship. And they don't really have a lot of power levels. I mean, they still can do certain things with technique, and they have certain, there's the whole thing, what is it? Some characters can use, the power to, see, muscles and stuff, kind of like what Kokushibo and Himejiba have, where they can kind of see, people's muscles, and it helps them kind of, almost gives them a level of clairvoyance of being able to see when their muscles are going to do certain things before they actually, act. But other than that, like, they don't have like a lot of power level stuff. I mean, I know they have like the marks that increases like their physical abilities, but their power levels are not impressive. I mean, like, look at like Deku early on; he gets to punch over giant robots and stuff. That's already beyond anything Kimetsu no Yaiba has. Is Asta stronger than Yuno post time skip? I mean, he's probably not. He's probably not. Right now, we can say yeah, only because we haven't seen, what he's capable of. I mean, we'll see it next chapter, but, well, if you've read chapter 235, I know it got leaked early. I haven't done a review on it because I'm trying to keep reviews up with the official releases, but we have seen that in 235. I won't go much spoilers. At 235, if you haven't read it, he's getting ready to fight. He's getting ready to fight next chapter. You know it. So we'll see a week from now. Well, we'll probably see later this week with leaks and stuff, but the following chapter we'll see somewhat of what Yuno can accomplish now. Smoke and Parade is up to 6 volumes. Oh, so that's good. I got confused with Black Torch, and Black Torch I know got canceled, and I was very sad about it. I did like Smoke and Parade, so I'll get to it. Follows the game, but add more elements. That's gonna be good. Borderlands is an example of try-hard reference. Yeah, I can see it. Asta, at the moment, can solo all of Demon Slayer. Asta has been able to solo all of Demon Slayer for a while. Demon Slayer characters, they have technique, but they aren't that strong. Like knocking over big trees is still like impressive for Demon Slayer. I mean, they don't have big feats. I mean, most of the series is more choreography and it's technique. But it doesn't change the fact that their stats aren't very high. I think most of the characters are like building level, and Asta's been above that since, honestly, I think since like near the start of the series. Asta's been above them stat-wise pretty much since always. In Jujutsu Kaisen, what does Sukuna want with Megumi? I think he wants his body. I think he wants him for maybe like a possession. I think he knows that Megumi is very powerful. So there's a theory that I have that he's related to, what is his name? There's a character that he's the strong, he was like the worst sorcerer in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. He was like their Zeref. What was his name? It was Kamo. Kamo, it's kind of hard because there's Noritoshi and then there's Toshinori. I think his is Noritoshi. But if you go back and look, he is that kind of guy. He's like this, it's seemingly like this dark sorcerer, and like I said, he's regarded as like this, like a stain on the history of the sorcerers. So he's like kind of like their Zeref from what I can kind of grasp, and I'm wondering if I think he or Yuji is related to the guy. But the thing about Megumi is he's very powerful. He has certain techniques. We saw he's got that one technique that, even though we haven't seen it, like his all-in technique, we saw like when it got off screen, that like weird, what's it called, like double arm length sword or something. He gets on like a 2-arm stance when he fights Sukuna early on. Right after Sukuna takes over Yuji's body, he has to get his hands healed up. But he has that stance, and then it's off screen, and then the next time we see him, Sukuna has like that hole in his chest, and if you go back and look, was it chapter 60? Right before Megumi first uses his territorial expansion, and I know that's not the official translations, but the official translations are freaking inconsistent with the name. It's domain expansion, and it's area expansion, and then it's domain expansion again. The last chapter, I got so mad last chapter because the guy who translates it he's really rude to people if you read fan subs or fan scans, but he's inconsistent with his own translations. Like in it, he has Jogo call Satoru's expansion Unlimited Void, which is what it was in the official translations. But then the rest of the chapter, Satoru calls it Immeasurable Void, which is what the fan version called it. So I'm just like, how are you messing up your own naming schemes, dude? Why? But anyway, it's kind of like whenever you see, for instance, really good example, in Fairy Tail, there are characters when their attacks they're in English. Like when he says it if they say in the anime it's in English, and in the manga it's translated in English, it's probably written in Japanese in the manga. I know it is, but I'm wondering what differs it that it stays Japanese and stays English. I know Hiromashima said in his worlds the characters generally speak English, but for instance, for the anime, I think is the easiest way to kind of go about it. A lot of the characters' attacks are said in English, like Gray's, whereas Natsu's are said in Japanese. Well, in the dub, and then in the manga volumes as well. Like Natsu's attacks, Dragon Slayer attacks are generally still written out in the Japanese versions. But like when you have names for attacks, similar to Natsu's Crimson Exploding Flame Blade, there's one part in Tartarus where like they have it, as the Japanese Goren Baku Enjin, and then in the little thing, when you see like the little translation, like it says like in a little between panel, it's like says you what it translates to. There's one where it's like it calls it like Flash Depth Charge Sword. I'm like, dude, how do you mess this up when you can literally look at the same manga that you guys have and just use that translation? I don't know, but yeah. So right before Megumi does his expansion for the first time, he's gonna use that attack, that like special technique. We still don't really know much about it, but it seems very powerful. But I'm wondering if that has to do with it. What do you like to see? Would you like to see another SDM out of Lucy this arc? Stardust Mix. Yes, I very much like Stardust Mix. Very much like Stardust Mix, because it really shows the advancement of Lucy. It shows how capable she is. And it's also, a representation of her mixing with her spirits and how she's with them and she doesn't see them as shields. She doesn't see them as tools. She sees them as people, and she's fighting with them she's fighting alongside them and not just kind of being like a caster and summoner and being like, go out there, go do stuff. I'm going to stand back and watch. I really want to see more Stardust Mix. I'm wondering like what other ones we could see like mixed in there, what kind of combinations we can get. And it really, like, lines up Lucy being broken, like, by the end of it. Like, look at the three main characters. So, you have Ellie, who has Etherion, which is this super raw, crazy power. She herself isn't much of a fighter, but she has just this very destructive, yet creationary kind of, like, power set within her. With Rebecca, she's got Leaper, which is mysterious. It seems to have kind of time stuff, looks OP in itself. If prior to Stardust Mix, Lucy's strong, she's more of a variety, she's got her own stuff. Stardust Mix with the amount that she could have, and then eventually maybe being able to add in the Celestial Spirit King's powers on top of it, and having literally like a level of spatial manipulation on top of all of these powers. And I imagine drawing in the element, like not the elements, the Celestial Spirit's powers as well. She might have a level of regeneration and immortality, because that is something that the Celestial Spirits do have, is straight regeneration and immortality. Because, like, anytime that they get, like, what should kill them attacks, it's like, no, I have to return to the spirit world now, and they heal up, and then they're fine shortly after. Imagine Lucy with that, I think would be really cool, is to see more development in her powers, but also keep her relevant in powers in comparison to all these other characters. And you see, like, Natsu and Wendy advancing Dragon Slayer powers. Gray seems to be advancing his Demon Slayer powers. Urza's getting all these cool new swords. Lucy being able to really kind of get into this very large level of arsenal to use, and having the most to use, the most kind of like different powers to use. It's cool because it also gives her a different thing. Like Urza is more of like, she's got resistances to different elements and different fighters, as well as different swords to use. Obviously Slayers are more combat orientated. Lucy having a much more kind of like variety of magic, I think gives her her own spot and her own identity in the group as well, which I really like. I really enjoy it when characters have their own presence and their own thing they bring to the table, on top of just being being useful and having things that are cool about them. I like when they can have their own thing that they, again, bring to the team. They have their own aspect. Like, obviously, Wendy as a Dragon Slayer, you have Slayers that are, like Natsu, he's a better fighter, he's more durable, he's got a higher level of power, and, he's gone further in Dragon powers than her. But it's like, well, what does she have? Well, she's also, on top of a Dragon Slayer, on top of just general Dragon Slayer traits, she has very high level support. She's a great healer, so she's got her own things on top of that, which I think is really cool. She's a combat healer. She's combat support. It is great. Lucy's too pure for this role. I love Lucy. She is a fantastic character. I'm gonna guess that one of the Dragon Eaters will be eating Ekmaloga's arm. So that is one of my theories of where the Dragon Eater's power came from and why they're so powerful. It started out like
Acnologia's arm had to go somewhere. Like, I think it would be really cool to integrate that into the story. That, like, maybe this guild of nobodies, they ended up finding this arm somehow. For Georg, maybe he was just some old traveler guy. Actually, that'd be really cool. Imagine he's just some old, weak, brittle dude. Like, he's some scrawny guy. And then he finds Acnologia's arm. He's starving. He doesn't care. He's like, I'm just going to eat part of it. I want to live. And then he becomes, like, where he's at, like, this giant, jacked, buff dude. And then over the past couple of years, like, he built up his guild. He gave them, dragon, parts of Acnologia's arm in order to make them stronger. And we know that they get stronger seemingly by eating dragons. So when it's starting out, and the reason they were able to jump so far is because they got a piece of Acnologia. It would make a lot of sense, and I think that'd be really cool. There's the really appreciated super chat from Ken Mono. Again, appreciate it, man. Always appreciate it. You got the goat, bro. Yeah, it's super goated, like, for real, man. I'm still so moved and surprised by that. It's crazy. Yeah, still monthly series. Okay, yeah, I'll get to it. I need to, I'll definitely add it to my list. Right now I'm reading this series about these live streamers, and then I got Jagan, but it's only a couple chapters out, and then I'll start it, and then I'll try and get caught up. Actually, I'll put Jagan on the back burner, perfectly honest. I'm far enough behind that already. Once I catch up on this little live streaming thing, it's only a couple chapters left, and then I'll start the series. Let's see. Was it Hinawa Got Crush? I think you said it was called. Yeah, I'll look into it. Will Patri ever get to do more in Black Clover? Yeah, I'm still hoping that he will. Well, he's got the fact he has a Black Clover grimoire. He's got a 5-leaf means he has to have more relevancy. There's no way that Tabata can push him aside. Like, Tabata can push the other, like, elf people aside. I don't think he could do it with Patri purely on the fact that he's got a Black Clover grimoire. And I'm wondering if that's who Zeno and them are after, which would make sense because, again, it's a Black Clover grimoire. He's got Dark Light. That's probably the one that they want. Eden's your drown track is gonna be fire. Yeah, man, I'm hoping for, like, a lot of crazy techno and a lot of space themes. What are you talking about? I don't know which part I was talking about at the time of when you asked, Power. What was I saying? Because I can probably name it and then get back to you on what it was. Does anybody think Shiki long hair? I do like long hair Shiki more. I do agree with you. I like the long hair Shiki. It's funny because I don't like the long haired Natsu, like the shaggy Natsu we got right after the time skip right after Tartaros when he came back after a year. He had that super shaggy hair. I didn't like that. I know a lot of people did. I wasn't a fan of it. I like the way that Natsu's hair is. I do think that Shiki long hair looks cooler. And one of the reasons I like it more is because, like, with Shiki's, gravity manipulation and how, we see him, like, hang upside down and he's either, he could be sideways, I think it's cooler that, when he's, like, manipulating gravity of just, like, the fact his hair would be kind of flowing around. I just think that's cool. And I imagine, like, if he's using, like a full-body Ether Gear form or maybe something beyond that, it would affect his hair and you just have, like, these floating streams and locks of it. It would look really cool, especially because it turns green. It would just look so much neater. Really disappointed Magi manga though in the ending arc. I didn't. So I know some people liked it. I'm okay with a series changing in aspects. I just thought it was too big of a shift to go from, like, dungeons and deserts into, like, gods and, like, the Jetsons future tech. I just thought it was kind of strange. Obviously, people liked it. It was a successful series. I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's just not for me, what it's doing. It's just because it was so different than what I liked about the series. Personally, if you still liked it, that's fine with you. That's fine with me. It was just my take on it. What's up? Pedram Pedder. That's an interesting name. I was looking at it like, is it backwards or something? That would just be what? Redep Marped. I don't know what exactly is it. Maybe that's just your name. But yeah, what's up, dude? I am American, if you are wondering. When Asta and pull out their swords, it's going to be good. It's going to be pretty damn hype. I'm pretty excited. Yu-Gi-Oh! Riv. I don't know what message you retracted, but what's up, dude? How's it going? Yami will get great animation on his Nirvana Slash. That will be hype. That part, I can see it being well animated because it's part of the scene. It's not... I know people love Yami, so, I mean, yeah...
I was gonna say like, well, maybe I don't think it's as important as some of the other parts, like that Black Divider Big Splash, but I think it will because Yami is a very popular character, so it would make sense of why he gets he gets a really good scene on top of it would be like why stop having a really good animation in a fight when Noah's gonna be real animated right before the big end. Meanwhile, the Goblin Slayer movie. Just really quick, is that an adaptation on like that goblin, that part where the I think he's a goblin king or a goblin shaman, you know what I mean? It's that part like they have people on shields and they're using literally people tied to shields. Is it that part or is it an original? I have no idea. I know they're novels. I haven't read the novels. I've only read the manga and watched the anime. But I'm wondering about Black Clover movie. That would be really neat. So with the Black Clover movie though, I don't think it could be canon. I don't think a Black Clover movie could be canon, at least right now, because it would either have to be somehow taking place between... Actually, you could do a Black Clover movie, have it set in that 6 months, and maybe it'd just be like something that happens leading up to the Spade Kingdom arc. It'd be kind of hard to do. I think they could do it, though. Or they'd have to wait until the Spade Kingdom arc is over, but otherwise it would have to be non-canon. I don't know how they could really put it in there. But the Black Bulls versus the Word Devil, pre-time skip. Black Bulls would get their asses kicked. Like, they had multiple Wizard King level characters fighting the Word Devil, and they were having so much trouble. He's too powerful. At the moment, at least. Asta versus Escanor. Escanor would kill Asta. Similar to how I said that Natsu would beat Escanor, or similar to Oscar... Well, Natsu would beat Escanor. Similar to how I think Natsu, like, in a lot of ways would beat Asta. Just, again, heat radiation alone, I think with Escanor would be too much for Asta, at least at the moment. Heat radiation would be really hard for Asta, unless he gets to a point where he's just not affected by magic, which would have to be, like, end of series, which still would be kind of hard, because both Natsu and Escanor have physical strength on top of their magic, but the heat radiation, it would be pretty dangerous for someone like Asta. What anime are you watching winter 2020? I just watched Cautious Hero. I thought that was really fun. I've been looking to try and find something new. What's getting animated up soon? I can't think of any upcoming anime. There is an isekai, and I don't watch a lot of isekai. There is one that's coming up that I like the manga. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I'd have to get to it. But it's different than a lot of isekais, and that's the thing with isekais that I very much kind of like differ, because a lot of isekais are the same. It's got to have a good start and feel like it'll be different. I don't know. A lot of isekais just bother me because they just feel so cookie cutter. It's like the mass-produced series. Some of them are definitely like good and different. I can't remember the name of this one, but it has a lot more to do with like because like a lot of the characters when they die, it doesn't really play anything. It's like, oh cool, I got isekai. But this guy has a lot of trauma. The fact that he was killed and his life beforehand causes him a lot of mental stress because he had a pretty rough end. So it hurt him a lot. He developed a phobia of like going outside for a while. It was like Rudy-san. It's Rudy something. His name is Rudy. But yeah, somebody probably knows what I'm talking about. Favorite Japanese voice actress? I don't know a lot of them by name, but there's a lot that I recognize by voice. Natsu's voice actor I recognize. Dio's voice actor I recognize. There's a bunch of them that I would be able to, if I heard them, I'd be like, hey, it's that guy. There's not a lot of Japanese voice actors I know by name, and it's not like I couldn't. It's just that I never looked them up. I do know Natsu's voice actor. I've heard Laxus's voice actor a fair amount. Again, I'd have to look at their names. There's definitely times I look at them. I'm like, I think I know this guy. Fairy Tail Tournament of Power team. Natsu, Gray, Lucy, Wendy, Gotcha, Laxus, Mirror Jane, maybe Juvia, and Jalal support. Like Grand Magic Games are just kind of isn't available. Wait for, they're gonna be in like the Dryable Tournament of Power. I mean, they're gonna get killed. Those guys are too powerful. Rex, have you read Mission? Oh, that's the one where the big assassination family kind of group. I've read a couple chapters. I think it's doing well. So, I'll just bring this up really quick right now because I've talked about it sometimes, and I don't mean it in a mean way, because there are times people are like, why aren't you, like reviewing that, for instance. A lot of the newer series, unless I'm really on board with it, I'll review the first few chapters, and then I'll wait a little bit, because the unfortunateness of Shonen Jump is, if it's not popular within a certain amount of time, they cancel them around like chapter 15 to 16, maybe a little bit more. I'd like to wait for them to get past that point, because when I review things, I get attached to them, and I get a little bit immersed, and I get sad when things get axed. Like, I'm still mad about Golem Hearts. If you even remember Golem Hearts, I'm still mad about it. I'm still mad about that series. I'm still mad about Red Sprite as well. Still mad about Iron Knight. I'm mad about these things because I really like them. And though I didn't review them at the time when they came out, if I did have my channel, I would be reviewing them because I really enjoyed those series. I like the premise, I like the main characters, I like the art, and they got axed. Once that series gets past the point where I'm like, I'm worried about it, I will definitely review it if I end up liking it. I like the first few chapters. I like the art. I like the premise. I thought I saw that, like, the main character, like, it's like, goddamn, the main character gets married within the first, like, 15 chapters or whatever it was. Pretty surprising. What's it at right now? I don't know what chapter it's at, but as long as it get past that point of, like, early cancellation, and after that it's like, well, it'll just ride until they decide to get rid of it, then I'll pick it up more. Other than that, I haven't read it since then. Nice, I agree. Lucy definitely is the most versatile I've ever met. I mean, yeah, Lucy's pretty good. I like that aspect about her. It gives her an identity. It shows how much she's grown, and it really gives her hype too. Because again, imagine all of her dresses mixed together in like Celestial Spirit King, and I'll just be a beast. I'm not married. I just have a house. Aquarius and Sagittarius could be cool. I mean, they could almost all be cool. I'm wondering which ones are really neat. I actually really like the idea. I think the most would be Leo and Aquarius, because she can, even though she can't summon Aquarius, she can use the key fragment for a star dress to a degree. She's kind of wonky on it. But I imagine she could combine it and then have like a shining water. That would be really cool, like a giant light wave. That would be pretty sick. Just imagine like a giant glimmering tsunami. I remember Darwin's game is great. I've heard good things about it. Natsu versus Escanor is like screw attack. Natsu versus Ace would be unfair for the opponent. Natsu would maul Escanor. The thing with Escanor is powerful, but someone like Natsu, who literally would get stronger and just revitalized by his attacks, would screw him over. And not to mention that Natsu is more powerful, but just as a straight power crippler counter. But Escanor is on a very strict time limit, whereas any of his fire attacks would just put Natsu's time limit back up. And any of his power, it's like, sweet, I'm back up. I'm back revitalized. And there are, we know how Rita works. Rita's broken. He broke Rita. So, I mean, Escanor's kind of screwed. I mean, obviously, Escanor is dead, so we can't use in that aspect. I mean, even if you give him Rita, it's not really going to matter. Hungry Joker and Iron Knight were really awesome. Wish they didn't get the axe. Hungry Joker and Barrage, to me, it was like... So I obviously love Black Clover, but in terms of... One thing I really liked about Hungry Joker that I will admit I like more than Black Clover is the power level, or not power levels, the power system. Because though I love magic, I really love the idea in Hungry Joker that the powers came from objects that helped humans to cover certain things in science. I thought that was really neat. I thought that was a really cool idea. Hungry Joker, I liked it overall. Well, I like it, but overall I like Black Clover more. Barrage, I like My Hero Academia, but I loved Barrage so much more. And it's unfortunate that it got canceled. Obviously, My Hero Academia is way more popular, and at the end of the day, I'm more happy that Tabata is successful rather than just like if they just kept Barrage and it was like a mediocre in sales. I'd rather him be successful than just me liking Barrage. A favorite My Hero Academia villain. So I really like Dabi, but he's a cock tease of a character. Because every time he's about to do something, Horikoshi just like, nah, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do something else. He consistent, like for instance, that part at the end of the fight with the high-grade Nomu with Endeavor, Like Dobby showed up, and I was like, yes, we're gonna find out stuff about him. And then no, we're not. He's gonna like engage for like 30 seconds and then leave. And then like in the whole My Villain Academia arc, a lot of the characters got shine moments except for him. He built up against that ice guy, and then we didn't really see anything of him. And I'm just like, when are we gonna get this guy to do something? He's cool. He's got such cool design. He's got cool power. Dude, it's like a stitched together, burnt up, blue fire crazy guy. And even the part where all the villains are walking out after that point, like all the characters and that villain group are walking out on stage. And each of them, they're walking out on stage in a way that, kind of presents their character. And he's just kind of cool, like head down, glaring a little, walking on stage. It was like, dude looks pretty badass. But he never gets to do anything. It makes me sad. Aquarius and Scorpio would be awesome. Imagine a giant... I mean, wouldn't it just be lots of, like, wet sand? It'd just be lots of heavy, wet sand. I don't know. I like that idea of... I really like that idea, though, of just shining water. Because... Aquarius is, her longest running spirit, and obviously it was the first one we ever saw. There's a lot of emotional stuff because obviously she broke it. It's going to be really nice to see them back together. But Leo is kind of, to me, in a lot of ways, like her main one because, he's got the most presence in a lot of ways, and he was actually a member of the guild at one point. He got his own little point in the story. I don't refer to that as an arc. I don't think of that really as an arc. It was like 2 chapters, but his own little bit. So I like that idea of him, her combining the 2 of those, but eventually I'm hoping she combines all of them. Oh, favorite villain though. Favorite villain is definitely Gentle. I love Gentle. Gentle's character I thought was really cool. I loved his design. I think choreography-wise, it's my favorite fight in the series for Deku, and I really am hoping that they keep that whole fight. And I know the overhaul fight is a bigger hype point, and he gets the infinite 100% form, but I think the Gentle fight is way better because I think the choreography is more interesting. I think the action is more interesting, and though overhaul is broken, he's super OP. I was never a really big fan of that fight other than some of the visuals because I knew that he would never get his hands on Deku because it would be a one-shot kill. Whereas with Gentle, it was more of just them showing like, they would each show like ways that they've thought of how to use their power. They get hit and do all these different things. It was more of a battle to me than the overall fight. The overall fight was more like, it built for more of like a big hype piece than an actual really good fight. The Gentle fight, I think, is much better. After the My Villain Academia arc, Tamura is my favorite villain. I can see why people like him the most. Personally, I like Gentle the most. Yeah, also, one of the things I really like about Gentle is he has this presence in the series and his backstory he's like a shonen main character that had the personality of one, but he didn't have like the journey of one. He always kept really positive. He was always, head up, kind of keep going. And it just never worked out for him, which I really liked. I always thought that was really neat about him, and it just kept getting crappier and crappier for him. Will you watch CES 2020? What is that? CES 2020? What do you mean? What's that stand for? Have you ever watched Rising the Shield Hero? You should if you have. So I've read the manga, and I was at the part... I'm right at the part where... What's her name? I think it was right after they get revenge on the stupid princess and her dad. But I'm not caught up. I think the anime is... I don't know where the anime is at, but I know they're going to get another season. I'm probably going to watch the anime. I don't know if I want to watch the anime or get back to reading the manga, but I definitely liked it. It was definitely enjoyable. Again, it's an isekai. That's a good example. It's an isekai that kind of is able to give reasons that it's different than other isekai. It definitely is more of a... Even though I'm in this genre, I'm trying very hard to be different, and the reason was, controversial, but I really liked it. I really liked the style of it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Again, really appreciate Outer River showing up. Hyper appreciate Kenmano for his extremely generous gifts, donations for the channel. But I still you don't have to, though I appreciate, like I said, though I appreciate his gifts, you don't have to give gifts. They're not demanded. They aren't required. They are appreciated. If you always come to the streams or watch my videos, you never super chat me, that's still fine. I still appreciate the company. I appreciate the discussion. I have a lot of fun talking about it because one thing I really like discussing things, and obviously I really love all these series. I really like talking about them, and it gives me a lot of fun times to really kind of go over all this. CES means Consumer Electronics Show. Maybe you're gonna have to tell me more about that. Tell me. He's hoping for the best. Here's hoping for the best of 2020. 2020 looking like a crazy year. I know a lot of people are hyping up stuff, and there's some real world problems going on. But let's keep the weeb style going. But other than that, thanks everybody for showing up. I hope that you guys can you guys come next time. I'm gonna try for a new time. Oh, Kinmono! God damn it! I was like, oh, somebody else gifted me. It's Kinmono again! God damn you, man! Don't waste all your money on me, dude.
Oh shit! You just busted a nut.
Oh wow, that actually was accurate in the funniness of how I set up that donation sound effect. But yes, man, don't always sell your money on me. Buy stuff for yourself as well, man. You deserve to buy yourself things. But also, again, appreciate it, man. I appreciate all donations. You don't have to donate me. Maybe take a breather for a bit. Next stream, maybe take a breather. I think you've super chatted to me more than enough for a long time. But again, appreciate it. Regardless of which, man. Regardless of which, I appreciate everyone for showing up. I appreciate everyone who comes to my streams, everyone who watches my videos, and everyone who comments on my videos. I gotta plan a new time for the stream. I'm thinking for, Saturdays. I think the same time on Saturdays will be the best time. So I'll set it because obviously I like Sunday I need to dedicate towards the chapter reviews for everything. Well, not this week because now it's Monday for some reason this week. I'm hoping they don't keep that permanent because that'll be annoying. I liked it at Sunday because I sleep in on Sundays because obviously it's right before I go back to work. It'll really bother me if it's at work because then I'm going to have to wait all day to wait till after work to review or to read and review it. I like to do it as soon as possible, and it'll be annoying if I have to get home and then on top of everything else after work then read or review all these. But we'll see. I'm hoping tomorrow is only the way it is and then I'll go back to Sundays. Regardless of which, thank you everyone for showing up. Again, Kabano, goddamn man, I appreciate all the gifts. I hope you have a great New Year. I hope all of you have a great New Year's, and here's looking good for 2020. Other than that, thanks everyone for showing up. Until next time,